And 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios today. We are out here at First Horizon Park tonight. The Sounds' first pitch against the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, 6:35 p.m. And Ian, we are in what I call no man's land today, where, we're doing the show, but it is sunny-ish outside, but in
feels nice.
The booth, it's very nice outside. It's a beautiful day for baseball. In fact, I'm staying and going to the game afterwards today. But what is odd is that as I look out over the field, I have to wear my sunglasses, but it's not sunny like that outside. So it's like that odd part of where it's too dark to wear sunglasses, but too light to not wear sunglasses. Does that make any sense?
It does make sense, yeah. I think you look fine. Just rock them. All good.
Well, it's odd, though. Like, it's just hard. Like, whatever, I complain. Nobody cares. All right, let's start with this, the big thing. I got good news about the game on Sunday for the Titans, and I've got bad news about the game on Sunday for the Titans. TD will be with us in an hour, as he always is for the TD Power Hour. Ian, where do you want to start? Do you want to start on the good news, or do you want to start on the bad news?
Always start with the good news.
All right, let's start with the good news. Deshaun Watson might be terrible. Like, the way he is currently playing for the Cleveland Browns is terrible. But I don't know. Maybe it's just the rust, and he'll knock all that rust off, and Deshaun Watson will look like the Deshaun Watson that when the Browns decided to pay the $235 million to, we didn't think that's too much money, though we did think, that's too much money guaranteed when nobody else is getting that kind of money guaranteed. But we didn't think that was too much money. We thought that was too much money for a sexual predator who was facing 25 sexual assault allegations. That's what we thought. We didn't think that the money was crazy or off, or $46 million a year for Watson was bad or anything like that. But so far, 4 games at the end of last year, he was bad. And when he was bad for those 4 games last year, there was this sense around Deshaun Watson that, well, it's the rust. And so he hasn't played a lot. So it's been 2 years. So give him a little bit of a break. And then next year will be the year where he shows up and he's worth the investment. And so far through 2 games, he has not looked that way. Now, I have not watched the Bengals game. I will watch that tonight, their first game. And maybe we'll do a little film breakdown tomorrow. But I did watch the pick 6 to start the game on Monday night. And I watched Deshaun Watson, and I'm like, he sucks. So he may be terrible just overall. Like, he might just be a terrible quarterback going forward. Kind of like Russell Wilson, right? When the move was made by the Seahawks and they traded him to the Broncos, we all thought Russell was still top of the NFL kind of quarterback. And then we saw how last year was transpiring, and we thought, Russell may not have it anymore. Russell may not be very good. Russell might be terrible. Russell may, again, all the, Russell this, Russell that. Then they said, you know what? We're going to go get him. We're going to go get Russell. Sean Payton is his coach. And Nathaniel Hackett, he was the problem. He was the bozo. And so he's out. And so we're going to go get him a coach. And we're going to go buy Mike McGlinchey to play right tackle. And we're going to go buy Ben Powers from the Ravens to go play right guard. And we've got our receivers in there. And we've got a good defense. And so we feel comfortable about our ability to win with Russell Wilson. 0-2. And I watched the second half of that game against the Commanders at home on Sunday. They couldn't move the football. I don't know how they got up 21-7 or whatever it was when Washington just started scoring point after point after point after point. But however it is that came about, I mean, Russell Wilson was just a non-factor. He looked like a Scarbini quarterback out there. And I think now most of us, the general consensus, it's not Russell is playing terribly. It is Russell at this point is terrible. When it comes to Watson, I still put the might be terrible because it has only been 6 games over the last 3 years. But he was supposed to have knocked off the rust last year. He had a whole offseason program. No sexual assault allegations hanging over his head. No courtroom drama like he had the year before. Full offseason program, knew where he was going to be, knew his receivers, full training camp, played in the preseason games. And he's been awful. He's been terrible. And some people are thinking, oh, maybe it's the offense that he's in. No, you don't miss those wide open throws and look as bad as he looks because of the offense you're in. And I do think that sometimes, confidence plays a role in certain kind of offenses. Those things matter. And I do think there's an adjustment period when there's a new offense, but come on now. And this is an offense that he ran last training camp and that he ran last year, and that this should just be seamless for him. Russell has to learn a new offense with Sean Payton coming in, but Deshaun, he doesn't have to learn a new offense. So that's the good news. That going into this game Sunday, Deshaun Watson might be terrible. The best player on the Cleveland Browns offense, I'm going to hesitate before I say the best player on the Browns, because Myles Garrett probably is the best player on the Browns, and Grant Delpit is having a great season for the Browns. But the best player on the Browns offense is without a doubt Nick Chubb. And unfortunately, we all saw Monday night, he's not going to play on Sunday. But, with him out and Jerome Ford is the running back, like I said yesterday, when it comes to the Titans and their run defense, the Titans' run defense is so good that I don't worry about the run defense against a Josh Jacobs or against a Jonathan Taylor or against any elite running back. It has been nice that the Titans are going to, for the first 3 weeks of the season, miss Alvin Kamara, miss Austin Eckler, and miss Nick Chubb. But even if those guys were in, I have so much faith in the Titans' rush defense that I feel like they would have been fine. Over the last 2 years, I feel like the Titans had one bad half against Saquon Barkley, and I think that was more about taking a smoke break than it was them not being good enough to stop Saquon Barkley. So, they may run the ball with Jerome Ford, but if it's Jerome Ford that is the best option for the Browns to beat you, then that's not really that big of a deal. So the good news going into Sunday is Deshaun Watson might suck. Like he might be done. And, it's too bad that Deshaun, didn't get his comeuppance for the kind of person that he is, that he got rewarded with a $46 million a year contract fully guaranteed. But at least the Browns, who decided to invest in Deshaun, at least it feels like with the terrible quarterback play, they're getting their comeuppance. But he's awful right now. So that's the good news. You ready for the bad news? The bad news is the Browns defense is freaking loaded. That's a great defense. Through 2 games, they're ranked number 2 in the NFL. They have Jim Schwartz as their defensive coordinator. And Jim Schwartz with a great defensive line is a recipe for disaster on Sunday for the Titans. That is the last guy that I want to see. I've seen Jim Schwartz with a great defensive line before. I saw Jim Schwartz with Javon Curse and Albert Hainsworth and Kevin Carter. And I saw Jim Schwartz as a defensive coordinator with Albert Hainsworth and Kyle Van Bosch and Justin Jones. And so I've seen what his defense in Detroit looked like, although it could have been a lot better. But they had Ndamukong Suh when he was a young pup, and he was a bad boy. The last person I ever want to see is Jim Schwartz with a good defensive line, and they have a great defensive line, led by Myles Garrett, who is a fabulous player. And we know about the Titans' offensive line. We've complained about the Titans' offensive line over and over and over and over again. I keep going back to the 3rd day of training camp when they weren't wearing pads. And I walked out of camp and I got in my car and I called my dad and I said, hey, I just want you to know, and I know they're not wearing pads and I know it's early and I know it's training camp. This offensive line is horrible. I told my dad right then and there, I was like, this line is horrible. And they are horrible. And they're going to go up against Jim Schwartz with a great defensive line. The Browns have a very solid secondary. And again, Grant Delpit's playing great. And they've got good linebackers led by Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the kid out of Notre Dame, the inside backer. He's pretty good. So, I mean, I look at the game on Sunday. I know the Titans, got back to the basics on offense, and that the Titans did a really, really good job, of handling the pressure. I know they got sacked 5 times, but of kind of working around their inadequacies in the offensive line. But Joey Bosa played 8 snaps. This week, Myles Garrett is going to play like 40. And every third down you get into, you might as well just go ahead and send Stonehouse out there, because you're not going to be able to block Myles Garrett. And right now I am going to put an asterisk around this, but the Browns' rush defense is ranked 3rd in the NFL. Now, I put an asterisk around this because they were 25th last year, and it's only been 2 games. So it's still a little early, to decide who's got a great rush defense or who doesn't. Now, again, like I said, the last thing I want to do is face Jim Schwartz, and I can guarantee you that Jim Schwartz is not going to let Derrick Henry beat him on Sunday. But again, I guess it's a long-winded way of saying it could be worse. But that's the good news and the bad news. The good news is you're playing a Cleveland Brown team that doesn't have its best offensive player and its most important offensive player, the guy that they paid all the money to, that they sold their souls for, isn't very good. The bad news, your offensive line, which is a train wreck, goes up against a dominant defensive line and a coordinator that knows you inside and out because he has been here for the last 2 years. He knows where you struggle. He's a smart guy. You know it because you know him. And he's got a dominant defensive line. So that's how we're starting today. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in, the good news and the bad news. And I do have a Deshaun Watson thought that I do feel like is going to change the NFL. Maybe not forever, but it is going to change the NFL. And I think it's already changed the NFL a little bit. We'll explain next. Hey, tune into 93.3 Classic Hits this Saturday for MTSU football. The Blue Raiders will kick off at 6 at home against Colorado State. Pregame begins at 5 o'clock, and you can hear all the coverage on 93.3 Classic Hits, the 93.3 Classic app, and at 93.3classichits.com. And a reminder to tune in Saturday on 102.5, 106.3 The Game for Vandy football. The Commodores will kick off at 11 against Kentucky with pregame at 9:30, and you can hear all the coverage on 102.5 The Game, the 102.5 The Game app, and at thegamenashville.com.
New home. New energy. Same Blue Raiders.
99 yards! Touchdown, Middle Tennessee!
Catch every game for MTSU on 93.3 Classic Hits. Coach Rick Stockstill is poised to lead his team to yet another bowl appearance.
We're really excited about this opportunity.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
At Mercedes-Benz of Music City, a healthy and productive culture takes a day-to-day discipline. Here's Sam Cavett, General Manager, with a few thoughts.
Mercedes-Benz has its standard, and we have Dream Motor Group standards. They're definitely on the same level, but I feel like we challenge ourselves at least as much as Mercedes-Benz challenges us. It's a genuine motivation to take care of customers, and we see it in the customer reviews.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here with More Great Homes. Located just west of Nashville in a tranquil setting of Kingston Springs Ranchettes neighborhood, 1617 Wildlife Trail offers 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a 2-car garage, and a 1-year builder warranty, all for under $450,000. Contact my team today at tjandersonhomes.com for more info. Want your home listing to be seen and heard by home buyers? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
So, if there's brunch, why isn't there dinner?
Or dunch, for that matter.
No, we know why there's no dunch.
Why is that?
People might get confused and miss brunch.
And I never want to miss a brunch this good.
Me either. Cheers.
Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Breakfast buffet Monday through Thursday from 7 till 10:30 a.m. and lunch from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Weekend brunch Friday through Sunday from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. featuring cast iron pancakes, made to order waffles, and eggs and carafes of mimosas. Treat yourself today to Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
It's time for another Kubota Field event hosted by Coleman Tractor of Nashville. Our biggest sales event of the year will take place on Thursday, September 21st at the Nashville Gun Club during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot. Stop by our booth to learn all about Kubota. Zero-turn mowers, utility vehicles, and more. Take advantage of Kubota's competitive financing offers, receive a coupon for up to $250, plus enter to win prizes. Try it and buy it at Coleman Tractor of Nashville during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot at the Nashville Gun Club, Thursday, September 21st. The event kicks off at 7:30 a.m.
Almost Monday. Their new single, Life Goes By. Almost Monday. Their new single, Life Goes By. Add it to your summer playlist now. We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
At some point in time, Stephen A., we're going to have to stop using Russ. He didn't look good last night. I mean, Steelers won the ball game, but it took a pick six and a scoop and score in order for him to win by 4 points. And I understand that Deshaun was away from the game for 2 years, but when you have that kind of contract, the more money you make, the more is expected of you. I don't care the line of profession. It's just not with professional athletes, Stephen A. So when you got $230 million and it's guaranteed, there's a lot expected of Deshaun Watson. Their offense was predicated on Nick Chubb being able to run the football. You fake the ball into his belly, and now you're throwing one-on-one outside. I haven't seen enough of the consistency from Deshaun Watson. He's in a system now, he's on a team now that has more talent than he ever had at Houston. I need to see the old Deshaun Watson, not an old Deshaun Watson, the old Deshaun Watson.
There you go. That was Shannon Sharp talking about how bad Deshaun Watson is now, and I think we can all agree Deshaun Watson is bad. And I was just looking at the stats, like per game, between the Houston Deshaun and the Cleveland Deshaun. And boy, I don't know. Ian, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most worried that you could be, how worried are you that Deshaun is going to play like Houston Deshaun this week against the Titans, or that he's, as opposed to what he has been as the Cleveland Browns quarterback?
Part of me does worry about some type of mental flashback where he just sees the Titans and he knows the Titans defense and he knows, their tendencies. So 7.5.
Now, the last time he played the Titans, that was that 2020 defense that didn't get any sacks. I mean, that's how long it's been since he's played. He averaged with the Texans 270 yards a game. He's averaging 186 yards a game with the Browns. He averaged 2 touchdowns a game with the Texans. He's averaging 1 touchdown, and I am rounding up and down here, but 193 to 113. So he's averaging from 2 touchdowns to 1 touchdown. He is averaging an interception in both, per game. I mean, it's awful. Success percent, which I don't really know what this means, but it's not very good for him. I mean, his yards per attempt, which is a big stat for a lot of like the GM types and things like that. His yards per attempt with Houston was 8.3, which is incredible. 7 is kind of the expectation. That's like average quarterback is 7. He was 8.3. His yards per attempt in Cleveland, 6.2. And Shannon's not wrong when he says that he's got the tools in the toolbox. The salary cap is fake, and Cleveland's a great example of that because Cleveland, I think, has spent somewhere around $275 million on their team, whereas you're spending $214 million on your team. So they're spending $60 million more than you, and that's how they've got Amari Cooper and David Njoku. And, I mean, they've got players. They've got players around Deshaun. They've got a left tackle. They're paying a center. They're paying a guard. They paid Jack Conklin. Now, he's hurt, but, I mean, again, they've given Deshaun a lot more than Tannehill has, that's for sure. And the NFL is a copycat league, just like really everything else in life, right? How many colleges are going to try to copy the Deion Sanders model because it has worked so well for Colorado? And so that's what we are, a copycat league. When the Patriots were good, everybody was hiring Patriot assistant coaches to be head coaches. Now, I don't see anybody sniffing around for Drod Mayo or Steve Belichick or Bill O'Brien because that model's not successful anymore. Peyton Manning got dumped by the Colts. Tom Brady left the Patriots. And Matthew Stafford had a mutual breakup with the Detroit Lions. And in all 3 cases, those quarterbacks went on to new teams and won Super Bowls. So because we're a copycat league, every team that felt like they were a quarterback away put it all on the mahogany and said, do whatever it takes to get me a quarterback. Now, I'm guilty of wanting the Titans to do the same thing after the 3 interceptions by Tannehill in the Bengals playoff game. So I am not finger wagging at the Broncos for what they did or even the Browns for what they did. Now, the desperation with which the Browns did it and the person that the Browns decided to give all that money to out of desperation, that's a different discussion for a different day. But ever since then, the do whatever it takes to get a quarterback model has failed. The Denver Broncos are a disaster. They keep trying to throw more money at the situation. They trade for Russell, and they moved heaven and earth. What was it? 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, Noah Fant, and a defensive tackle. I mean, that is essentially a draft in which they gave the Seahawks in order to make the move for Russell Wilson. And Russell's not very good. The Browns gave up more. 3 first-round picks in order to acquire Deshaun Watson and then guaranteed him $243 or $235 million, whatever it is, $46 million a year. So Deshaun's not going anywhere. I mean, at least with Russell, it's not fully guaranteed. So at some point here, they can draft a quarterback. If they're bad, they can draft a Drake May, number 1 overall or number 2 overall, and then basically say, all right, Russell, you're going to back up Drake May. Cleveland, they can't do that. They've got a team that's ready to win right now. And the Broncos just keep throwing more money at it, and they just keep losing. And the Browns just keep throwing more money at it, and they just keep losing. And so now the other team that put it all in the middle to go get a quarterback. Now, I think we've already seen the idea of putting it all in the middle to get the quarterback recede a little bit. I think we're already seeing that because the Jets only gave up 2 second-round picks in order to get Aaron Rodgers. Now, I still think that was a little too much, given the predicament that the Packers found themselves in, where Aaron could have retired and that they didn't want Aaron back, and they still got 2 second-round picks out of it. So the leverage was a little different. But how's that working out for the Jets? So in all 3 cases where these teams have just sold their soul in order to get the quarterback because they thought that's all they needed, they failed. Even the Stafford deal, I would love to know if that was technically a win for the Rams or not. They won a Super Bowl. Stafford was probably more of a passenger than he was a driver. Donald and Kupp were probably the 2 best players on that team en route to that Super Bowl. But they did win one. But at the same time, they just gave up a top 10 pick to the Detroit Lions. And Jared Goff is probably a better quarterback right now than Matthew Stafford. So the Lions exchanged their old quarterback, who they couldn't win with, who was starting to break down, for a young quarterback, or I should say younger quarterback, in his prime quarterback, who might be the same caliber, if not better, than the guy that they traded away. And they got 2 first-round picks out of it. I don't know if that's a win or not. And in the case of Manning and Brady, those guys were free agents. And the other thing to remember about this is Russell Wilson may end up in the Hall of Fame. I don't know how bad the Denver years will affect him. I don't think Deshaun will end up in the Hall of Fame. I don't think Deshaun was ever going to end up in the Hall of Fame. And with Rodgers, he got hurt. So we'll never know what Rodgers could have been or would have been this year with the Jets. But all these quarterbacks that these teams have gotten since Manning and Brady made their moves, they're not Manning and Brady. Manning and Brady are like 2 of the 4 best quarterbacks ever. So they're not Manning and they're not Brady. And so I think that we're going to see, again, in a copycat NFL, we're going to see all these teams that after the success with Manning, Brady, and Stafford that said, okay, we'll do whatever it takes to get a quarterback. I think now we're going to see that trend kind of recede a little bit. And we're going to see teams say, okay, well, I'll take your quarterback, but I'll give you a 3rd-round pick and a conditional 2nd next year. Not, I'll give you 5 first-round picks in order to be able to give me that. By the way, on the scale of 1 to 10, with 10, being like a definite, how worried are you that Deshaun Watson reverts to the Houston Deshaun Watson on Sunday? Ian, you said you're a 7, 7.5?
Yep.
Go ahead and put me at a 4.
Okay.
Maybe less.
Okay, a little bit on the lower side then, huh?
I mean, I think Deshaun stinks. Do you think Deshaun stinks right now?
I mean, he doesn't look good, so it's like, okay, does he just completely stink now, or is he in his head? It's hard to really explain.
But do you get out of your head after 1 game?
I just worry, I don't know. I just worry since it's such a familiar opponent. Granted, I'm sure he's played other familiar opponents last year, and so I don't.
He played the Texans last year.
Yeah, so that's pretty familiar.
Again, he hasn't played the Titans since 2020.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
so
Joe
it could be a
Burrow
lot
has played
different.
the Titans 3 times, I think, since the last time Deshaun played him, which is kind of crazy. So I'm not worried about it at all. I just think that Deshaun stinks now, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. 615-737-1025. Let's get to your phones on this. We'll do that next. Plus, here's the other thing that is crazy about Deshaun and all the chips being pushed into the middle. And that is how long ago it was since he last was good and what football looked like then and just how long it has been. We'll do that next on your phone. Stillman & Company, 615-737-1025. Again, we are live at First Horizon Park where the Sounds are taking on the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp tonight. And if you can't make it out to the ballpark, I hope you can, but if you can't make it out to the ballpark, Sounds baseball tonight is at 6:35 on 94.9 The Fan as the Sounds take on the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. And Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan is presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans and by Family Leisure.
All the big plays.
And we are done. Vandy 24-21.
All the big stories.
I'm sure Vandy will be a much better team if Clark Lee is the coach.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
What a stop by UC Sarah.
Then he wouldn't end up on my team.
Driving his way to victory lane.
I think that's the right strategy.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, folks, Joe Rexford here talking to you about PhD weight loss. I had a goal when I went to this program, losing 38 pounds, got down 39, then went past the 40 mark, but I'm in maintenance now, and maintenance is a fantastic plan as well. Keeping the weight off, losing the weight, no pills, no gimmicks, no other suppressants. This was a fantastic plan with a weekly coach call with my coach, Rachel. You understand what is going on with your body in this process. The program is designed for you. Then it is tweaked tweaked for you. It is a plateau busting program. And if you've tried to lose weight on other programs, you know how it goes. You do it for a while, it might work, then you get sick of it, move on to something else. PhD weight loss does not give you that experience. You are going to stick with it. It's easy to stick with it, and then you're going to keep the weight off. You're going to know this is simple and easy. Again, you have a coach, and there's a guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight at the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Join me now. You won't regret it. Visit myphdweightloss.com.
The two most sought-after, most prestigious names in bridal jewelry come together for one epic event this weekend at Genesis Diamonds.
Tacori and Viraggio, the world's premier designers, are showing off their entire collections. All the latest designs, many showcased for the first time ever, with up to $5,000 in savings.
Everyone loves Tacori, meticulously crafted by master artisans in their California design studio. Discover the hidden details and exceptional quality that sets Tacori apart. There's always more than meets the eye with Tacori. Come explore the entire Tacori collection, including all new Tacori fine jewelry, earrings, bracelets, eternity bands, pendants, and more.
If you're engagement ring shopping, this is a once-a-year event you can't miss. Other jewelers aren't even allowed to carry these iconic American-made brands.
Also for this event, Genesis is showcasing an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds in all shapes and sizes.
Come join us and take advantage of special incentives, zero interest financing, and as much as $5,000 in savings. This Friday through Sunday, only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. It's about to start getting cooler, and it's time to start thinking about your heating system. You do not want to experience breakdowns when that first temperature drop happens, so it's time to get your heating tune-up taken care of. Luckily, happy half-off month at Hiller. Tune-ups are 50% off. This month, Hiller is making it easier than ever to tackle necessary home replacements by giving you 50% off select add-on items. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face truck today.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-494-6139. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-494-6139.
102.5 and 106.3, The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
Big time performance, best part of the team.
Chase McCabe 9 to 11.
An unrestricted free agent.
Caroline, Willie, and D Mace 11 to 2.
Got the big contract.
The Velvet Touch.
Talk about Hall of Famers.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
Kept going for it.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Smashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
Hey Nashville, this is David Poyle. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Playing against Deshaun, I know you guys are really familiar with him. Does he look relatively the same as he did when he was in division, or has his style changed at all over the last couple of years?
No, I don't think his style has changed. It extends plays. He's got strength and great play strength in the pocket to wait out receivers, to get them through to the second window. Extends plays. He's got length and stiff arm, and will scramble and can run to get what he needs to get to. Can throw the ball to all parts of the field.
There you go. That was Vrabel. And by the way, what a slick way of answering that question from Vrabel. Did you hear that, Ian?
Oh, yeah, he's good at that.
That very beginning of that, he's asked, so your familiarity with Deshaun Watson, is his style the same? And Vrabel's like, yeah, style's the same.
Once he brought up the style part, he was like, he
done.
took the easy out and just went right to that. Yeah.
You're done, Nick Suss, who I hope learned his lesson about calling Coach Prime Dion a couple years ago. Actually need to revisit that with Suss next time I see him. But Vrabel there's like, oh, yeah, his style, yeah, that's the same. But
if you just asked him, is he the same, and not gone into the style, wonder what he would have said. Yeah.
Yeah, play that cut for me again.
And just say, I know you guys are really familiar with him. Does he look relatively the same as he did when he was in division, or has his style changed at all?
You didn't need to say that, Suss. You could have left the style out of it if you just said, does he look the same? Now, Vrabel would have lied, and Vrabel would have said yes. but, he doesn't look the same. We can all, I think, agree on that. So it has been so long since Deshaun Watson has played football. If we don't count those last 4 games at the end of last year, because, I don't know if Tom Brady could take a 16 or a 12-game suspension and then come back for 4 games, 5 games, whatever, and look good. But 2020, do you realize how long ago that was? It's hard for me to think of, I feel like 2018 was yesterday, but 2020 was 3 years ago. And that's how long it's been since Deshaun Watson's played football. Well, Deshaun wasn't the only good quarterback in 2020. Ryan Tannehill was a pretty good quarterback in 2022. Now, everybody thinks Tannehill stinks because we all saw the Bengals playoff game and because the Titans didn't win a lot of games last year. But at least Ryan Tannehill played. The last time Deshaun Watson played a full season, Deshaun Watson, his team finished 4-12, by the way. Tannehill's team finished 11-5. Deshaun had a better completion percentage and more passing yards and more yards per attempt and more passing yards per game, but they both threw 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Deshaun's rating was 112.4. Tannehill was 106.5. Now, this was a shocking statistic to me. Yards per rushing attempt, Deshaun 4.9, Tannehill 6.2, and Tannehill had 7 rushing touchdowns compared to Deshaun's 3. When Ryan Tannehill got left off the Pro Bowl squad, and this was when kind of being named to the Pro Bowl team had some juice to it because there was no actual Pro Bowl game because of COVID. So it wasn't like, oh, yeah, well, he declined going to the Pro Bowl or his team made the Super Bowl, so he's out. And now all of a sudden, Tyler Huntley is playing in the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl actually had some juice that year, and Tannehill was very upset that he got left out of that Pro Bowl. And right now, if we were to sit around with everybody with Ryan Tannehill and say, what do you think about giving Tannehill $46 million a year, fully guaranteed, blah, 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 it's like crazy. He's never going to be what he was in 2020 again. And that's probably the reality with Watson. And nobody is talking about that anymore, which is crazy to me. That it's been so long since Watson has played football. Like maybe he just doesn't have it anymore. Maybe the idea of, hey, you take 2 years off of your sport, you're not going to be very good. And like I said earlier, all these teams were selling the farm for Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson because they saw what happened with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. But Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson were not Peyton Manning and they're not Tom Brady. Just like at the same time, again, Deshaun takes 2 years away from football and he's not the same player. Michael Jordan took 2 years away from basketball. Well, Deshaun Watson is not the Michael Jordan of football. The other thing is, I wonder how much the shame and the stress of what Deshaun went through. And I'm not saying this like as a victim, that, oh, Deshaun, but I mean, every time he takes that field, he knows that 60,000 people are looking at him thinking that he's a rapist. And I wonder how much of that has affected him as a football player. Now, I'm not the team psychologist, so I wouldn't be one to know. And apparently, part of the conditions of Deshaun being allowed back in the NFL was that he had to undergo, a psychological evaluation. So I guess he passed it. But, I mean, that's how long it's been since he's been good. Your phones are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Trey in Nashville says, the reason Deshaun Watson is terrible is because he isn't getting his massages anymore. Boy, who could have seen that one coming into the text line today and tomorrow? Texter says, I'm calling it now. This comes from Andrew. Titans 6, Browns 2. I heard the midday show on my drive in. They had some guy that covers the Browns on, and he was like, yeah, I'm probably expecting this to be 13-10, something like that. Can I just say, I'm okay with that. Like, I would agree this is going to be an ugly game because neither team is very good on offense, and both teams are pretty good on defense, specifically the defensive line. And I want this to be a play in the mud kind of game, because in those type of games, the team that gets impatient is usually the team that loses, and the team that ends up getting impatient is usually the stupid team. And I think the Browns are traditionally a dumber team than you are. So if you say, hey, I mean, what are the 4 words, Ian? I guess 2 words, but said 4 times.
Run, 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 punt.
Run, 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 punt. You know, if you go into a game thinking, you know, we're going to run, 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 punt, that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to make Deshaun Watson beat us or Jerome Ford beat us, because we don't think, and I'm speaking, you know, as if I were the Titans, we don't think that Deshaun Watson can beat our defense. We don't think that Jerome Ford can beat our rush defense that was number 1 in the league last year and is technically, I think, number 3 right now through 2 games. We're just going to run, 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 punt. So when you're in the third quarter and it's 3-0 one way or another, and your offense is jogging off the field again, you're not getting impatient because you went into the game thinking this is how we're going to play. Whereas they're not going to run, 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 punt. They're paying their quarterback $46 million. They're at home. They run, 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 punt. They're going to start booing themselves out of the building. And then you get impatient, and then you make bad decisions. And that worked for eons against Blake Bortles and Jacksonville. Put the game in his hands. Do the same to Deshaun. So I'm fine, you know, with the Titans going in there and mucking it up and it being one of those ugly kind of games. That's what it should be. I'm just trying to win. I don't care if I win pretty or not. That's for you guys that care about, you know, what other people think or the national perspective said, or I mean, I'm sorry. I don't care about that at all. I just want to get out of Cleveland with a victory. I just want to start the season 3-3. That's all I care about. Texter says, you know, the trash talkers like Jeffrey Simmons have to be talking about all the sexual stuff during the game, and it has to throw them off. You know they're doing it, and you know it has to work. That I would love to ask Derek that kind of question, because Derek was kind of a trash talker. Maybe I'll text him during the break, and I'll say, D-Mace, if you were trash talking Deshaun, would you bring up the sexual assault allegations, the massages? Would you be doing that? You know, like, or is that off limits because it's so bad? I do wonder if that, you know, how they feel about that. Paul says, how will Simmons, Tart, and Autry react to Watson grabbing their face mask every time they break the line? He couldn't stop grabbing the face masks on Monday. Yeah, I'm not really worried about that. Texter says, the craziest thing about Watson is that Michael Vick was out for 2 years when he was in prison, and yet he had the resurgence in Philly. Whereas Watson's time off was at home with access to trainers, and Vick was a year older when he signed with Philly as comparing to when Watson signed with Cleveland. Agreed. And the Michael Vick thing, I mean, that was bad. But I'm not sure that the shame is the same as what Deshaun probably has to feel. Or at least should feel. 615-737-1025. So there's kind of an internet rumor that's starting to pick up a little steam. And I'm just here to tell you right now, it's a big one involving the Titans. I'm just here to tell you right now, just stop thinking it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. The Titans don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. He doesn't want to do it. It's not going to happen. We'll get to that coming up next. We're live again at First Horizon Park. Sounds today against the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Make your silly underdog picks for your chance to win weekly prizes, and you can play at thegamenashville.com or the 1025 The Game app as we approach week 4 of the college football season and week 3 of the NFL. And silly underdog picks are presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Football is back, and so are the deals at Electronic Express. Come into any of our convenient locations and save big on 4K TVs from your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Sony, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, housewares, Bluetooth speakers, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 60 months special financing. Score amazing deals in store or online at electronicexpress.com. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Love wings but think they're not spicy enough? Twin Peaks has a new wing sauce just for you. Have your wings sauced and tossed in the new Hot as F sauce. Their hottest wing sauce yet. Can you handle the heat? Twin Peaks in Cool Springs and Madison.
Are you ready to get pumped up and show your support for the MTSU Blue Raiders this season? Get ready to experience the thrill of cheering them on inside the legendary Floyd Stadium. And the best part? Season tickets are available at an unbeatable starting price of just $99. Don't wait any longer. Head to goblueraiders.com/tickets to secure your spot and join us in cheering the Blue Raiders to victory. Let's go Blue!
Hey, are you seeking relief? Maybe you just want to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? Yeah, really. You can have legal THC products shipped directly to the comfort of your home. Yes, comfort in cannabis is only a website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. That's Green Trees with a Z, and change your life today.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
It's time for another Kubota Field event hosted by Coleman Tractor of Nashville. Our biggest sales event of the year will take place on Thursday, September 21st at the Nashville Gun Club during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot. Stop by our booth to learn all about Kubota, zero-turn mowers, utility vehicles, and more. Take advantage of Kubota's competitive financing offers, receive a coupon for up to $250, plus enter to win prizes. Try it and buy it at Coleman Tractor of Nashville during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot at the Nashville Gun Club, Thursday, September 21st. The event kicks off at 7:30 a.m.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one.
It's absurd. Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Ryan, in this league, guys can go from being, the person that everyone wants ridden out of town on a rail one week to the hero the next week. With your experience, does that maybe help you deal with going from the opener to the performance that you turned in on Sunday?
Yeah, I don't ride that wave. I know a lot of people, especially outside the buildings, ride those waves. But personally, take it 1 week at a time, improve on the things that try to improve on the things that you want to each and every week, and go out and play football and not let 1 week roll into the next.
Ryan Tannehill says that he does not ride the wave of the outside noise while acknowledging that clearly he's heard the outside noise. So there's some weird internet rumor, and I haven't heard like any reputable football person speculate on this, but I have seen it a bunch on the text line, and I was maybe Robbie and Joe were talking about it. I can't remember. And it's this idea that the Titans need to or would trade Ryan Tannehill to the Jets. For starters, Ryan Tannehill is owed $24 million for the rest of this season, and the Jets have a payroll of $275. So you think the Jets are going to up their payroll to $300 million? No. So that's the first thing. Secondly, what would the Jets trade you? Like they've already, spent draft capital and money in order to get Aaron Rodgers. They don't want to spend more draft capital and more money to go and add another quarterback. So what would they give you? A 5th-round pick? And again, I don't even think they'd offer you a 5th-round pick because I don't think they'd want Tannehill because I don't think they'd want to pay Tannehill the money. So you want to dump Tannehill for a hypothetical 5th-round pick that might be the best you can do? Because, again, they're not going to want to pay Tannehill $24 million. And then what would you do? You're 1-1. You're tied for first in your division. Every game you play comes right down to the wire. You want to put Malik in? So I think the Kirk Cousins stuff is kind of foolish because even though the Vikings are 0-2, I don't think they're ready to give up on the season. They just traded for Cam Akers from the Rams. But at least they're 0-2. They're not 1-1. Now, they also play in a pretty bad division. So I wouldn't, if I were them, I'd be a little careful there about getting rid of Kirk Cousins. But at least that's somewhat more feasible. I mean, this idea that you people think that in the NFL, it's like, oh, well, yeah, just add Tannehill. I mean, crazy. And so I don't know where that picked up, and I'm not here to tell you that, at the end of the day that the Jets should be stuck with Zach Wilson and that the Jets are going to go with Zach Wilson. I mean, I think that's what's most likely to happen. But the Jets are more likely to go to Carson Wentz and say, we'll give you $8 million for the rest of the season. And you're going to sit behind Zach Wilson until we get to the point to where we don't want Zach Wilson to play quarterback anymore. You're more likely to be able to pull that off because you're not giving up any draft capital and you're not paying $24 million than you are to go to the Titans, who, even though you don't fancy them as a contender, they fancy themselves as contenders. You're going to go to the Titans and you're going to ask the Titans for their quarterback, and they're going to pay $24 million and give you something good in return. They would never do that. Phone lines, 615-737-1025. They're driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jesse is up next on Deshaun Watson. Thank you for calling. What's up, Jesse?
Hey, what's going on, man? You brought up Deshaun Watson's mental health, man, and I agree with you 100%. It seems like he's playing angry, but not a good angry, not beast mode angry, but like a bad angry, like Tyson biting off Holyfield deer, He just seems like maybe life's out of control. He's pushing his own teammates and refs. I mean, face mask, yeah, I just think it's a good point to bring up. He doesn't seem healthy mentally.
I want to say on Robbie and Joe, and I appreciate your call, good call, Jesse, that a general manager told Charles Robinson, and Charles Robinson relayed this story this morning, that the general manager thinks that Watson is playing with a bunch of negative energy. Now, I do believe in camaraderie and positivity and mindset and teamwork. And I mean, I believe in intangibles. I think they matter in sports. I think they matter in all things in life. I mean, I think showing humility and accountability, I think that goes a long way. But for a general manager to say, it's negative energy, that kind of bothers me a little bit, only because I'm not saying that the GM's wrong, but it's like, well, is it his footwork that's the issue? Is it his decision-making that's his issue? Is it like, what are those issues? Not just the, it's his negativity. But I do think that, again, I do think Deshaun is playing with And I don't know if it's the pressure to perform because of the contract. I don't know if it's the shame that he feels from all the extracurriculars. That I couldn't tell you. But I certainly think there's something there because Deshaun, he's not an old guy. But there's definitely something there. Texter says, if the Jets had something the Titans wanted, and if the Titans wanted to trade someone to them, it should be Malik Willis and not Ryan Tannehill. I mean, does Malik Willis give you a better chance to win than Zach Wilson, or does Malik Willis give you the same chance to win as Zach Wilson? And I'm not as much of a Zach Wilson hater as everybody else is, because I think that Cowboys defense is pretty good. And I think that Zach Wilson's put in a really tough spot. And I was kind of a little disappointed by the Jets defense on Sunday, because the Jets defense, this is supposed to be like a legendary defense that Aaron Rodgers was going to take care of the offensive side of the ball in this legendary defense. And they played that way against the Bills, where I thought, okay, maybe Zach Wilson can just throw the ball to Garrett Wilson and they can run the ball enough and win some of these ugly games. But the defense didn't play that well against the Cowboys. But I don't have a lot of faith in Zach Wilson. Just like, again, if you were to trade Malik, I wouldn't have a lot of faith in that. And I don't think the Jets would have any interest in Malik Willis. I don't think the Jets have any interest in Tannehill. I don't think the Titans have any interest in trading Tannehill. That's why I think the whole concept of the Titans trading Tannehill to the Jets is reckless. Jules says, Jared, they can trade Tannehill to the Jets because the cap is fake. The cap's fake. The draft picks aren't. The money's not. By the way, Ian, do you know who has the most amount of cap space in the NFL?
The Browns?
For you, they're second. Even though they have the second highest payroll.
No, I don't.
The 49ers.
Wow.
With all those great players. And all they just do is they just restructure contracts, and then, look, they got all the cap space. But no, I mean, I don't think Woody Johnson, I think, say, you know what, I'm dedicated to winning this year. So we're going to pay Aaron, and we're going to pay Alan Lazard, and we're going to go spend all this money to try to compete this year. And then when Aaron went down, I don't think it's like, oh, well, now I'm going to pay more money. I think it's now like, oh, well, there's the sunk cost because we were banking everything on Aaron. So, no, I don't think they're interested in spending another $24 million. TD is here. He will join us next for the TD Power Hour. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans, where they stand. We'll get his thoughts on the Browns and Jim Schwartz and everything else. And, of course, we'll get your questions for TD like we always do. 615-737-1025. Once again, we are at First Horizon Park, where the Sounds take on the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp tonight at 6:35. And this week's Nashville's best deal is Campione's Taste of Chicago, located at 401 Long Hollow Pike in Goodlettsville. Campione's is a family-owned, award-winning restaurant for Sumner County's best Italian dining and lunch spot. Try one of their Chicago-style hot dogs, Italian beef sandwiches, lasagna, homemade pasta, and more. Get half off a $20 gift card at theGameNashville.com/deals while supplies last.
He knows Nashville sports.
I love Clark Lee. He is a brilliant dude.
And he's not scared to tell it like it is.
They were atrocious on defense a year ago.
He is Outkick's Chad Withrow.
We really don't care. You're here. You signed a grant of rights.
Withrow joins Stillman and Company every Friday at 5. Brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
I know they were doing that for him to be the third-string quarterback in year one.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Game Center Update.
This Game Center Update is delivered by Black Tie Moving. The Tennessee Titans were back on the practice field today preparing for the Cleveland Browns this week. Titans defensive back Roger McCreary joined Robbie and Rexroad this morning and talked about going up against the Browns offense even without running back Nick Chubb.
Even though Nick Chubb's hurt and everything, I feel like they're still a great offense. You know, they have a veteran quarterback, great receivers on the outside, and I feel like they got a good run game no matter what. Their O-line is a great run offense, so I feel like they still going to come with their same play styles, playing with their offense, and they got guys on the outside.
Titans versus the Browns is set for noon on Sunday. The Nashville Predators had their first on-ice training camp session of the season today. General Manager Barry Trotz joined Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace earlier this afternoon.
I want to give them the resources and the opportunity to build this. If we win a Stanley Cup, I want this team to be built from Nashville Predator DNA.
And it's the final Throwback Thursday of the season at First Horizon Park as the Nashville Sounds continue their final home series of the season versus Jacksonville, the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. First pitch is set for 6:35 on your home of the Sounds, 94.9 The Fan. This Game Center update delivered by Black Tie Moving. Use the promo code GAME to score 10% off your next move. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt.
And I think he's going to coach him up by Cheryl. You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios at First Horizon Park, where the Sounds take on the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Ian just said it's the final Throwback Thursday of the season. That is depressing. It's the final one this year here at First Horizon Park. TD is with us for the TD Power Hour. TD, good to see you out here at the Sounds.
Yes, sir. Good to be seen, man. I appreciate the invite, man. It's always great to come to this stadium. I was telling the guy walking in how it's just a sweet place, man. I love it.
All right, let's start with this. Your thoughts on the Titans through the first 2 weeks of the season. 2 games that were equally, I would say, as dramatic, but very, very different with how the Titans played and looked. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it is. This past week, it was refreshing to see them score points. You know, it's only the second time that they've scored 20 or more points going back to like week 13 last year. It's been a while. So that's really the big difference, right? They were able to be more efficient in the red zone. They were 3 out of 4 as opposed to 0 out of 3 against the Saints. They did a really good job. And if you notice in the conversation with the coaches, the players, you know, especially the coaches, Tim Kelly, Mike Vrabel, the emphasis is on staying ahead of the chains.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been able to do that, finding success. I mean, they ran the ball really well. I think it was 2 out of 17 first down runs were less than 4 yards. Everything else was, you look at Tajay Spears, his 14-yard run in overtime, run on first down.
Mm-hmm.
They had success there. So when you're able to do that, and then you could layer it with the play action passing game, which Ryan Tannehill did excellent with, that's the key to success. So it was totally different from the Saints game where they were just sputtering offensively.
I thought Tim Kelly deserved a medal for his adjustments from week 1 to week 2. And what I thought Tim Kelly did an excellent job of was he kept running on passing downs or pass sets where, like, you look and you say, okay, this is a pass set right here with Tajay Spears and the Titans are in the shotgun and they hand the ball to Spears and he gets 11. Or throwing out of what looked like run sets, 2 tight ends, Derrick Henry, play action, throw the bomb to Burks. And I felt like the Titans did a good job of working around the offensive line once they, you know, found some stability by putting Radunz in the game. And I just thought Tim Kelly did a fabulous job of keeping the Chargers on their heels last week.
Yeah, and you talk about working around the offensive line. Play action gives you max protection.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to allow the offensive line to, get some help, which they're going to need it this week against Cleveland. Oof. With Myles Garrett and obviously Zadarius Smith as well. But yeah, you're right. I think the calling of the plays, like the timeliness, man, they really. So all right, Traylon Burks, the 70-yard catch. They had back-to-back 3-and-outs, and the Chargers scored. And I asked Tim Kelly about, did you call that knowing that you needed a spark? And he said, yeah, just like you said, we needed a spark. That's why he called it. Then you look later in the game, Chris Moore, once again, back-to-back 3-and-outs. They were sputtering on offense. They dialed that up. They got the protection, and they shot it down the field. But a part of that was the offensive line being able to hold up and give these guys time for Tannehill to find them down the field.
Do you know what the bomb to Burks reminded me of? Because I think Vrabel used the term that they were leaking oil. They were down 11-0, and they'd had 2 3-and-outs.
The Raiders game, A.J. Brown?
No, it reminded me of the Chiefs game to Khalif Raymond. When they played here, that game that Tannehill let him back at the end. Remember, there was that weird, I want to say it was Tony Carini was the referee who screwed this up. But Tannehill got sacked by Chris Jones and had his hand over the ball. Mm-hmm. And then Tannehill got up, and the ball was laying on the ground, and a Chiefs guy picked up the ball, and they gave the ball to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs scored a touchdown. And so the Chiefs were up 10-0 or something like that. Yeah. And the Titans offense was having a hard time getting, and they hit a bomb to Raymond, and it kind of opened it up for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And I felt like that Burks was, and again, that's 2019 against the Chiefs. Who called that play? Arthur Smith. Mm-hmm. I was so impressed by Tim Kelly taking ownership of the mistakes that he felt like he made in the Saints game.
And then turning around.
And then seeing how he, adjusted for the Chargers game.
And with that ownership, by the way, Todd Downing dialed up play action pretty well, too. You look at Traylon Burks, a couple 50-yard catches, the one against the Packers. But with that, Tim Kelly, what I really liked about taking ownership was, even though he put together a couple plays, each of which should have been touchdowns, and they didn't execute. He didn't say we got to execute better. He said, I have to call a better game. Mm-hmm. I think that was a good sign of leadership from Tim Kelly from that perspective.
So everybody has an opinion on Tajay Spears and Derrick Henry, and how much Derrick should get the ball and how much Tajay should get the ball and how many snaps once you. I think Sunday's perfect. I think that now not every game's going to be the same. You get down 17-0, then Spears is going to probably have to play more than Henry. But I thought Sunday was perfect. Derrick's the bell cow. Mm-hmm. Derrick gets the 25 carries. Spears, had effective runs, third down when they needed to get it, and Spears got it. But he also had those first down runs where maybe the defense thought they were going to pass, or, they're not going to bring 9 guys to the line of scrimmage like they will for Derrick. And I think that's 71% for Derrick. I want to say it was 40-something% for Spears. They played together on the field, which I think they need to, because I think they're their 5 best options. I loved it.
Yeah. I'm actually looking for a quote from Justin Otten about
the running backs coach.
Yeah, the running backs coach, because he said something that was really intriguing to me, just as far as having plays for each of them individually, but also plays where they both are able to execute. I like what they're doing out of that 22 personnel, right? 2 tight ends, 2 running backs. They're finding ways to pass out of that if they need to, but just having both of those backs on the field at the same time. You look at the option play that you've been talking about. Mm-hmm. That's an excellent example of how they could play off of each other.
And how they set it up with 2 runs to Spears to the left, and then they fake it to Spears, and then Henry and Tannehill take off.
Or you'll see, they'll motion Henry, and we know he has no business lining up out wide, but they'll motion him to the left, and they'll run Spears to the right or screen it to – they're using Henry perfectly, in my opinion. Well, almost perfectly, because I would probably like to see more carries for him, because I think when you keep going with it, eventually you get that home run. Mm-hmm. But to that extent, though, they are using Henry really well, just in that, hey, we know that your focus is on Henry, so we're going to do a little trick take that focus away and go someplace else.
Now, do you believe that Derek, because there's a big, large portion of, I don't want to say the fan base, because I don't think it's the fan base that feels this way, but the text line that feels like Derek has lost the ability to hit the home run. And I personally don't believe that.
All right, how could I put this? He's still a home run hitter, but he's not as much of a finisher as he was. Whereas before, he gets in the open field and he starts running, you know how he holds it's 6 points. I've seen Derek get hawked down, so that's different because before you never saw that. You never saw it happen. So I think that's the difference. He may not be like that power isn't completely zapped from him. He can still hit the home run, but it's not as likely as it used to be. Whereas before, like I said, he was out.
Is that necessarily a Derek thing? Or, I go back to, we always talked about and laughed about how much does this matter when it comes to paying a wide receiver. But every time Derek would break off one of those big touchdown runs, Corey Davis would be hauling his butt down the field. And, not to say that these guys aren't blocking well, because I do think that they're doing their jobs. But last year, they felt like they had to put Cody Hollister in the game all the time to block for Derrick Henry. And even if we go back to the overtime, it was Moore and Westbrook Akine that were on the field over Hopkins and Burks, which I was a little surprised by. But I thought Moore and Westbrook Akine were playing well, so I wasn't going to say that was a bad thing to put them in the game. And so I just wonder if it's like that little thing of not having Corey Davis down the field doing the blocking is why he's not breaking off those big ones or finishing them. And I go back to that Saints screen pass. He was gliding on that turf, just like the normal Derrick Henry gets some space in the open. There he goes. And that's why I look at it and I'm like, I think he's still got his game.
I'm not saying he doesn't. I just don't. It's not the same. It's not the same. And even, A.J. Brown, you used to always see him running down the field blocking for him too. I will go back to was it the Bengals game here last year? Henry
where Burks recovered the
right
fumble.
when Burks, but the whole that happened because somebody got closer to him, was able to punch it out. But Burks was hustling down the field, so you're still seeing that. But I don't think these guys are as good as Corey Davis or A.J. Brown were from that perspective. I just don't think Henry has that. And I want to go back and check some of his speeds because he was hitting 21 miles an hour consistently on those long runs and stuff like that. So I don't think that's the same. But I mean, the level of drop off to where he is now is still okay. He's still one of the best, long distance runners in the game.
So what we're talking about right now, I envision is what in The Office they talk about, but they have kind of the data of the GPS tracking.
I have it too.
To say that he's going, but it's even a step further, right? Like you talked about the Cam Taylor-Britt punch out, in the Cincinnati game last year. And it's like, okay, well, would Corey Davis, for instance, have kept Cam Taylor-Britt from being able to get to Derrick Henry? And those are the conversations that they're having, where I'm not even sure that they know exactly the answer.
Yeah, there's no telling. There's so many variables, so there really is no telling. But I mean, I think the bottom line is, in the past, a lot of times those guys weren't even close. So that's the big part of it.
The first time he ever got caught was in that Ravens playoff game. And that was when it was like, I think the hamstring might still be.
And Marcus Peters, of all people, caught him.
I think it. And I think he said after the game, I'd never been caught from behind like that.
Yeah, he did say that.
TD's with us. Coming up next here on the TD Power Hour, the Cleveland game. And I got to say this. We all know Jim Schwartz. TD knows Jim Schwartz. The last guy I want to see with a good defensive line, when you maybe don't have a good offensive line, might be Jim Schwartz. We'll get TD's thoughts on that on the other side. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love Hiller. They're coming out to my home tomorrow. Got a little electrical outlet that I need installed. And I mean, I think you guys know what happens when somebody that doesn't know what they're supposed to do tries to do something with electrical outlets. That's right. And the last person to do that would be me. So as soon as I figured that I needed this outlet installed, I'm like, I'm calling Hiller. And that's exactly what I did. I went online to happyhiller.com and boom, made the appointment for first thing tomorrow morning, which I'm very excited about. It's about to start getting cooler and it's time to start thinking about your heating system. You don't want to experience breakdowns when that first temperature drop happens. So it's time to get your heating tune-up taken care of. Lucky for you, it's Happy Half Off month at Hiller and tune-ups are 50% off. This month, Hiller is making it easier than ever to tackle necessary home replacements by giving you 50% off select add-on items. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services Free guarantee, and I know that because I use Hiller at my home, and I'm using them tomorrow. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face truck today.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The two most sought-after, most prestigious names in bridal jewelry come together for one epic event this weekend at Genesis Diamonds.
Tacori and Verragio, the world's premier designers, are showing off their entire collections. All the latest designs, many showcased for the first time ever, with up to $5,000 in savings.
Everyone loves Tacori, meticulously crafted by master artisans in their California design studio. Discover the hidden details and exceptional quality that sets Tacori apart. There's always more than meets the eye with Tacori. Come explore the entire Tacori collection, including all new Tacori fine jewelry, earrings, bracelets, eternity bands, pendants, and more.
If you're engagement ring shopping, this is a once-a-year event you can't miss. Other jewelers aren't even allowed to carry these iconic American-made brands.
Also for this event, Genesis is showcasing an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds in all shapes and sizes.
Come join us and take advantage of special incentives, zero-interest financing, and as much as $5,000 in savings. This Friday through Sunday, only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
C10 Nationals, the world's largest Chevy and GMC truck event, is coming to the Nashville Superspeedway September 29th and 30th. Packed with vendors and activities, autocross, swap meet, dyno, drag race, and more. Daily tickets $20 at the gate, and parking is free. More info at c10nationals.com.
Are you in the mood for authentic Chicago-style Italian food? Italian beef sandwiches, Vienna Chicago-style hot dogs? How about homemade pasta, chili, meatballs and marinara sauce, and more? Well, you need to check out this week's Nashville's Best Deal, Campione's, at 401 Long Hollow Pike, Goodlettsville, Tennessee. Family-owned and featured on Tennessee Crossroads, this is delicious Italian-style food right here in Tennessee. Check them out now at thegamenashville.com/deals. Get half off now while supplies last.
It's time for another Kubota Field event hosted by Coleman Tractor of Nashville. Our biggest sales event of the year will take place on Thursday, September 21st at the Nashville Gun Club during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot. Stop by our booth to learn all about Kubota, zero-turn mowers, utility vehicles, and more. Take advantage of Kubota's competitive financing offers, receive a coupon for up to $250, plus enter to win prizes. Try it and buy it at Coleman Tractor of Nashville during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Shoot at the Nashville Gun Club, Thursday, September 21st. The event kicks off at 7:30 a.m.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Always appreciate, what Jim provided to the coaches, to our staff, help on game day. Anything that we asked him to do, or Shane asked him to do, he did. Then he kind of started on, wanted to transition or have an opportunity to coordinate again, and so he was honest and upfront with me, and him and we communicated, and then he had a few opportunities, and he felt like this one was the right one for him, and the timing worked out. So I was happy for him that he was able to come here, stay involved, help us, and then also now, go and coordinate.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel talking about Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator of the second-ranked defense in the NFL, the Cleveland Browns, who the Titans will play Sunday. TD and I are live here at First Horizon Park. First pitch tonight, 6:35 for the Sounds. TD, The idea of Jim Schwartz playing the Titans is something that I don't like. The idea of Jim Schwartz having a great defensive line against this Titans offensive line is something that might give me a nightmare over the next 3 or 4 days. So with that being said, what do we make of kind of this Titans-Browns defensive struggle, knowing what Jim Schwartz knows about the Titans?
Yeah, I think when you look at Jim Schwartz, and it goes beyond just what he knows about the Titans.
Sure.
The offense has changed a lot, to be honest with you. So I think the big thing is just knowing what you know about Jim Schwartz, because any team that he's coached, that defensive line, whether he was a head coach or whether he was, a defensive coordinator, they always attack. And I remember that Eagles team in 16 and 17, man, and you talk about waves upon waves upon waves of pass rushers. And he just has a way of getting the most out of guys, and I think when you look at Myles Garrett, okay, he only has 1 sack, but you look at the pressures, like he's getting all kinds of pressures. You look at Zadarius Smith, having those guys, and then, the interior play as well. Everything is so well coordinated with him, right? So Dalvin Tomlinson, he's collapsing. You saw it in the game against the Steelers where, there were times where Garrett was winning on the outside, right? And Watson would feel it. And Zadarius Smith had the other side sealed too, so he couldn't escape. If the pressure was coming from the left, he couldn't escape to the right because Smith was there. Then he couldn't step up either because Dalvin Tomlinson is collapsing the pocket. So it just seems like Schwartz always has these really well-tiered pass rushes. That's the main thing. And going against this offensive line, which, all things being considered, has played decent. I'm not going to say they've been terrible. I'm not going to say they've been great. They've been okay. But they're going to need Trevon Wesco. He's going to have to help out, a lot.
And not false start and drop the ball?
Yeah, those things will help too. The false starts, it's just like, come on, man. You can't put the team behind the chains like that. And now you're in a first and long, and you have an incompletion on second down, and then third down, whatever happens, and Brian Stonehouse comes out and punts.
Yeah, I think the one he got the other day was 2nd and 5.
Yeah.
And it's like, they talk so – this team has to be so dedicated to staying on schedule that, like, all of a sudden it's really like, hey, man, you really let the team down on that drive. Because
it was 2nd and 5, and that put him in a 3rd and long. It's just like,
right.
Shoot yourself.
2nd and 5 is right on schedule for where this team needs to be. If you told me this team's going to be in 2nd and 5 all day on Sunday, I'd say I got a good chance to win.
Yep.
And, I think when I think of Jim Schwartz, I am almost conceding that the Browns defense is going to have their way with the Titans for the most part on Sunday. If I'm Tim Kelly, and this is where, Vrabel being a head coach, it steps in on that. I mean, I've talked about the run, punt a lot. I'm kind of thinking about that in this game because what I don't want to do is I don't want to sit there on a 3rd and 9 and say, okay, I want Tannehill to drop back and try to stand in the pocket and let somebody get open, and then he's going to rush a throw because of that. Like, just go ahead and hand the ball to Spears on a draw and bring the punter on and see if you can flip the field.
Yeah.
And I do think that, like, that's where the coaching comes in when we talk about working around the offensive line, which is understanding the limitations that this offensive line is giving you right now. And without Skoronski in there, who's your best offensive lineman, I think you have to play smart football, which I think for the most part they did on Sunday against the Chargers. But it's even more so in this game because while the Chargers had some good players on defense, the Chargers really didn't have a good defense.
Yeah.
This is a good defense.
At all levels, too. Like, we could talk
Owosu
about
Koromora
later.
is a dog.
I think when you look
Delpit.
Delpit, Greg Newsome, that's who the Caleb Farley pick. I thought that Greg Newsome was the guy that they should have taken. And I thought he was the guy they were going to take. You got him. You got Denzel Ward. You look up front. We talked about them. They are solid on all 3 levels. And I think, you look at these guys, they could turn the football over too. So there isn't really any margin for error, when you talk about this Browns defense. Like, the Titans have to go out there, and you can't have mistakes because points, they're always at a premium with this team, but don't be surprised if this is another like 16-15, like the season opener. I mean, don't be surprised if this is a 13-10 type of game, to be honest with you, because both of these defenses are good. And offensively, you know, the Titans are starting to turn the page a bit, but the Browns offense, I mean, no Nick Chubb, like that's trouble.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like, hey, man, if the Browns offense goes out there and drops 25 points on you, you know, I mean, I think I look at the Titans defense and I'm like, hey, you guys should really shut this team down.
Yeah.
You know, you should get after the quarterback. You know, they've got 2 receivers. They got a tight end. You should get after the quarterback. The quarterback is, you know, something's not right with the quarterback for whatever reason it may be. I'm not the team psychologist, so I wouldn't know, but there's something not right with Deshaun. You know, make Deshaun and Jerome Ford beat you, as opposed to you giving the Browns a short field and allowing them to go 22 yards and score a touchdown. Make them go the full 80. You know, I went crazy, TD, in my seat the other day, and I'm sure you saw this on Twitter or heard this on the air. I went crazy when Vrabel went for it on 4th down early in the game, because I'm like, you're a defensive team. Punt the ball, pin them back, put your defense out there, either get a turnover or a 3-and-out and start over, you know, with good field position. Yeah. And instead, he just gives the ball to the Chargers at mid. I'm like, you know, your offense isn't very good, Mike. What are you doing?
Maybe he was leaning on the numbers there. Maybe you know, the analytics said go for it. I don't know. But yeah, it was a questionable call. But it's just,
well, just don't do that this week.
Yeah, you can't afford to have even a return punt. By the way, did you see Kearis Jackson had to leave practice today?
Oh no, he's actually doing really well.
Yeah, he tweaked something running, and what made me think of it is field positioning, right?
Sure.
And you look at how he had the 10-yard return and how that helped set up, you know, that drive, and he had to leave practice today.
Oh no, Kearis!
I think it was his right leg, but he tweaked something during individual period.
Oh no!
Funny thing, right? He was wearing number 8. Mason Kinsey's wearing number 8 too. You know who wears number 8 for the Browns?
Elijah Moore. Yes, pulled that one out.
Yes,
I actually did want your opinion on this. I was going to ask you in the question segment. So Nick Folk just won AFC Special Teams Player of the Week.
Mm-hmm.
I gave the special teams game ball to Kearis Jackson. And that is not because Folk is proving me wrong with every kick that he goes out there and makes. But
is he though? Your question was from 50 yards.
I mean, it was, but it is still like, you know, the people are like, what do you think of the trade now, Jared? I'm like, right now, I really like it. But I felt like, and I think this is where being in the stadium helped me see this. Those punts that J.K. Scott was putting up there, I mean, he put it right up in the sky, and they were like, whereas like Stonehouse's punts, you know, sounded like a tire backfiring because he punts the ball so far, but it doesn't have that weird little like Greg Maddux movement to it like the J.K. Scott punts did. And so the fact that Jackson fielded those well during the game and then had the big return at the end to set up the field goal, I gave the game ball to Kearis Jackson, and Ian said that I should have given the game ball to Nick Folk on special teams.
I mean, it's always easy to give it to the guy who hit the game-winning field goal. But to your point about Kearis Jackson, now here's the thing. Right, when that ball is in the air, I don't know. Have you ever like did you play football in like little league or anything like that? Okay. Punt return is like
you saw me try to catch that Trey Wolf kick with the phone in my hand at training camp, so you know, isn't that, you know?
Punt returning is like the worst thing that you could ask a football player to do, man, because you're just sitting there, right, and on a normal punt, you're still like, God dang, who's coming? And you take that last picture, right, of where people are, and then you focus on the ball. That hang time like that, it makes it even harder. And then you pair that with the next time you're at Nissan Stadium, right, and go to the end zone where the Titans come out, where the players come out, and look directly towards the other side of the stadium. The sun is ridiculous. Like it'll be like you're looking at the sun and you're trying to find the ball, and all of a sudden it just drops out of nowhere. So I was like my long-winded way of saying Kearis Jackson, what he did on Sunday was outstanding. And I understand you giving him the game ball.
Plus, those J.K. Scott punts, I mean, they
were, they're high and they're moving all over the place.
I'm telling you, like I said, like it's got that Greg Maddux sink or cut or whatever it is to it. What about Deshaun Watson? What TD's opinion on what's up with Deshaun Watson? We'll do that coming up next here on the TD Power Hour. Again, we are live out here at First Horizon Park for the Sounds game tonight, which of course we're excited about. And on Sunday, we'll be live at Twin Peaks in Cool Springs from 9:30 to 11:30 for the award-winning pregame show. So join me, Chris Sanders, and Derek Mason again at Twin Peaks in Cool Springs. TD will pop on like he always does, live from Cleveland during the game. And we'll get you set for Titans and Browns. The award-winning pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and The Beast Unleashed.
All the big plays.
Rebound, fly out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need more?
The Game and the Game Nashville app. Avenged sevenfold in concert. The wait is finally over. A7X. This Friday night, Bridgestone Arena. Special guest, Falling in Reverse. Tickets are on sale now at livenation.com. Avenged sevenfold. New album out now. Buy tickets at livenation.com.
This is Nick Frazier here to tell you about my favorite sport booking casino, and that's BetUS.com. Football is back, and that means it's time to lay down your bets. BetUS is celebrating its 30th year of sport betting service with a special offer this football season. Up to 30 risk-free bets. It's called Bet Protect, and there's even more. BetUS.com offers the industry's biggest 125% sign-up bonus. Get Bet Protect and get started today by visiting BetUS.com or give them a call at 1-800-MY-BETUS. That's 1-800-692-3887 to learn more about their bonuses and special offers. BetUS.com. Sportbook Casino, where the game begins.
Let's see. That one. Wait, I didn't see this one.
We apologize. When you have as many microbrews on tap as we do, we know it can be hard to make a decision. Don't worry. We're patient.
Wow. Let me see here.
Bar lines at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Incredible apps and salads, delectable burgers and wraps featuring local Tennessee whiskey and local brews on tap and live music 7 days a week. The decision is obvious. Bar lines at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Blue Raider fans, your home for all the MTSU football and men's basketball action is on 93.3 Classic Hits and 95.1 Classic Hits in the borough. Catch the action all season long with Chip Walters on the call. Go Blue Raiders!
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad. It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mays.
Stillman Company.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
At some point in time, Stephen A., we're going to have to stop using Russ. He didn't look good last night. I mean, Steelers won the ball game, but it took a pick six and a scoop and score in order for him to win by 4 points. And I understand that Deshaun was away from the game for 2 years, but when you have that kind of contract, the more money you make, the more is expected of you. I don't care the line of profession. It's just not with professional athletes, Stephen A. So when you got $230 million and it's guaranteed, there's a lot expected of Deshaun Watson. Their offense was predicated on Nick Chubb being able to run the football. You fake the ball into his belly, and now you're throwing one-on-one outside. I haven't seen enough of the consistency from Deshaun Watson. He's in a system now, he's in on a team now that has more talent than he ever had at Houston. I need to see the old Deshaun Watson, not an old Deshaun Watson, the old Deshaun Watson.
There you go. That was Shannon talking about Deshaun Watson. TD's with us. TD, what is up with Deshaun Watson?
I think he's pressing too much, man. You see him, and he's getting. I was talking to Kevin Byard about that Wednesday. You could tell that he's frustrated, and when you get frustrated like that, you do tend to press, and you could tell that's what he's doing. Like Sharp said, you can't blame it on rust anymore.
Nope.
Like something is just not working, and you look at it. They even try to go to, because I think he's most effective out of empty.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at it, they do try to do that a lot. They'll go to empty with Elijah Moore in the slide. They'll motion him to the backfield and then do stuff like that. And they're trying to put him in situations where he performed his best in Houston. It's just not happening, man. And I think he's just, like I said, he's pressing too much.
Do you think, and what's crazy about it is, like, I know that Dallas didn't want to pay Amari Cooper anymore because they have CeeDee Lamb. I mean, I still think Amari Cooper's pretty good.
You and me both.
And so, like, he's got a receiver. He's got a tight end in Njoku, who's a good player. He's got, he had the running back in Chubb. He's got a solid offensive line. I mean, they have invested plenty around Deshaun, and he looks terrible. Like, at least with Tannehill, when Tannehill plays poorly, we can look at the line or, the receivers or things like that. I do think the Steelers have a good defense, but I mean, I just think Deshaun looks awful.
Yeah, he's definitely not playing to the best of his. Like you said, the Steelers, they do have a good defense, but you look, I mean, without Chubb, everything's going to be put on Watson.
And see, that was kind of the next step, was what does now that mean for the game on Sunday?
Exactly. I think it means you got to attack, but you got to be disciplined with your attack, because if you give him a rushing lane, like, he will take off and he'll run for 14 yards on a 3rd and 12 where you have everything defended nicely. You know what I mean? So you have to be careful from that perspective. But I think, I think Cleveland is still going to do what they do. It's no different, in my opinion, to the Titans when they were going against the Rams, right after Derrick Henry got injured. I don't think it's any different. They're going to do what they do, but Jim Schwartz and those guys in the defense, they're like, yo, we got to step it up. Like, that's a big loss. Like, we got to make up. You look what the Titans did, right? Kevin Byard had the pick six, so you got to make sure that you don't have a defensive touchdown, by Cleveland. But I don't think Watson, those guys, I don't think they're going to put up a lot of points.
What do you think about Jerome Ford, the running back out of Cincinnati, who stepped in, I think 16 for 106 against the Steelers on Monday night? I mean, I know they signed Kareem Hunt, but I really think that they plan on, if I was coaching the Browns, and to your point, I mean, the emphasis is going to be on Watson, but if I was coaching it, I'd say, hey, we're going to run Jerome Ford like he's Nick Chubb, even though he's not Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I think you still want to run the football because, like the Titans, like Tannehill, Watson is good at play action. You know what I mean? So you get him on the move and you let him make plays that way. He's always been, even going back to Clemson, that's what he did well. So I remember watching Ford, Cincinnati back, and I just really like how sturdy he is. Like, he runs through tackles. He does have a bit of explosiveness too. So, I mean, you're not going to get the same home runs. Like we talk about Derrick Henry. And Chubb is another home run hitter. You're not going to get those as much, but I think, you can slow and steadily put together drives, well, at least attempt to, because I don't think they're going to be able to do that this week. But that's what you look to do, put together drives, right? Get Watson in a rhythm, mix in the run, go play action. I think that's what you could expect. And Elijah Moore, actually, for Whiteboard Wednesday, I drew up what they did early in the game against the Steelers with Elijah Moore, and using him in quick touches and short passing game as an extension of the rushing attack. I think that's something that you'll see.
Do you think that I want the Titans to go into this game with the old Jacksonville, when they had a really good defense, that 2017 Jacksonville team that got to the AFC Championship game? They came back with the same defense in 2018. And I said, every time that they played Jacksonville, and Mike Mularkey figured this out, Mike Vrabel did it because Mariota couldn't throw the ball with his fingertips all screwed up or whatever. Run, punt.
Yeah.
And then give the ball back to Blake Bortles, and eventually they'll get impatient, especially playing at home where the fans do not want to see a rock fight. on Sunday. Do you think that that is the right game plan given the way Deshaun Watson is playing right now and the way I think we feel about the Titans' rush defense against Jerome Ford? Run, punt, and make that Browns offense beat the Titans defense.
I think you still. So you're saying you want the Titans run, punt?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, you still have to attack, man.
I don't want to attack on offense.
Why not?
Because
you look at the times they attacked against the Chargers, right? Play action, 70-yarder, 49-yarder. You may not hit that same play, right? As far as the gain is concerned.
Sure.
But you will show them, I ain't afraid to go deep on you. Like safeties, you will have to, respect what we're going to like. We will try to throw over your head. I think you have to make sure that that's known. Like, no, you definitely have to attack. Like you can't, Tim Kelly and Tannehill, they cannot sit back and just, okay, we're going to just try to keep this game close. We're going to try to win the game. That's the mindset. So 100% no to run.
I want to run, punt. I want to see. My hope is I'll never forget. You remember the game where the Titans went to the Jags had just been to the AFC Championship game, and they had beaten the Patriots in that big CBS slot at home. And they were hosting the Titans, and Blaine Gabbert got knocked out of the game on like the first series. And so Mariota went in there and he couldn't throw the ball because he had that elbow issue or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And at halftime, Doug Marrone said to the CBS reporter, "We need some more explosive plays." And Floyd said he heard that and was like, got him. Because he knew that by wanting more explosive plays, getting impatient, that Bortles was going to put the ball in the air. And the Titans ended up eking out that 9-6 victory. I think Mariota completed like one pass, and they ended up winning that. And I'm not saying complete one pass in this game, but every time Tannehill drops back with this offensive line against their defensive line is an opportunity, A, for him to get killed, and B, for them to turn the football over for one reason or another. If they run the ball and keep everything simple and safe and don't be afraid to bring out Ryan Stonehouse and try to flip the field, then you put the onus on the Browns offense. And then I think Deshaun might throw you one. And now you got a short field to work with and put the pressure on them.
You have to, the goal on offense is to score the football. Like that's mission A. Okay, now mission B.
But if they want to run, punt, but one of them
stuff.
runs into the end zone, I'm cool with that. But
yeah, see, that's video game stuff, man. Like you have to try to score, and you have to have balance on offense. You know what I mean? I hear what you're saying. You want to play it safe.
Yes.
Right. But you know the saying, right? Scare money don't make no money.
I know.
And you gotta, and playing it safe like that, everything has to execute perfectly. All the different scenarios that Stonehouse punting it and them getting the ball on the 5-yard line, and Watson does have 3 fumbles in 2 games.
Yep.
So there's opportunity, but all those things have to happen perfectly. And I don't think that that's the way that you approach it. You have to go out and you have to attack and you have to reverse it, right? I asked Mike Vrabel about dictating to the opposing team. And you heard what he said. Well, we're not going to go out and
throw the ball 50
times.
times.
We're still going to run the football, but balance. That's what you have to have on offense.
Okay, let's get to your questions for TD. I'm a little bummed out that he didn't like my run, punt idea, which again, that's going to be, I want to make Deshaun beat you. 615-737-1025. We'll hit your questions for TD as we always do at the end of the hour. Again, we're live at First Horizon Park Sounds tonight against the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. 615-737-1025 here on the program. PhD weight loss. That's right. I have blown past the 20-pound mark. I've hit the 30-pound mark. Now I'm like fluctuating around that 30-pound mark, but I still love it. And I did it all while enjoying the summer. Now, the school year started back, everybody's back in a rhythm, and it's back for me to lock in with my PhD weight loss program. I absolutely love it. It is a nutrition plan that is easy to execute. It's harder, again, every time you lose something like weight, it's a grind, but still, It's easy to activate and understand. Go online to myphdweightloss.com and check it out for yourself. You'll learn about the program, the coaching, and the guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That's PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition online at myphdweightloss.com.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt and Kentucky from First Bank Stadium. Coverage starts at 9:30 a.m. Kickoff at 11.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Smashville, Predators hockey is back. And you don't want to miss the biggest party on Broadway as we celebrate 25 years of Smashville all season long. Get your tickets now for opening night on October 12th as your Nashville Predators face off against the Seattle Kraken. Secure your seats now for the home opener at NashvillePredators.com/single-game-tickets. That's NashvillePredators.com/single-game-tickets. Let's go, Preds.
The Nashville Oktoberfest is quickly approaching, and now's the time to get your dirndls, lederhosen, and party steins ready. From local breweries to live music and festival artisans, you can't go wrong celebrating this free family fun Germantown tradition. The Nashville Oktoberfest 2023, Thursday, October 5th through the 8th at Bicentennial Mall in Germantown. Prepare yourself for 4 days of brats, beer, live music, and competitions. VIP experience reservations are still available at thenashvilleoktoberfest.com. Prost, y'all!
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local convenience store today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
C10 Nationals, the world's largest Chevy and GMC truck event, is coming to the Nashville Superspeedway September 29th and 30th. Packed with vendors and activities, autocross, swap meet, dyno, drag race, and more. Daily tickets $20 at the gate, and parking is free. More info at c10nationals.com.
One is a legendary NFL wide receiver.
I gotta be prepared. I have to be ready.
One is a legendary Nashville voice.
You don't have to rely on it carrying the ball 250 to 300 times.
And the other has been a legendary trash talker on the playground since the 4th grade.
Nobody is a Pro Bowler on day one of rookie minicamp.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company live at First Horizon Park. Again, the Sounds tonight against the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. The last throwback Thursday of the season. Boy, baseball season has flown by. By the way, good season for the Mets this year, too.
You want me to throw this mic down?
I know, right? Let's get right to the phones, which are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Ryan in Nashville says, TD, I think the Titans should use some misdirection, go up tempo at times, and hard counts to keep the Browns defense on their heels. I don't know if they can hard count on the road at Cleveland. Cleveland's a pretty loud environment.
Yeah, it gets pretty loud there.
Says also Burks has a big size advantage over Denzel Ward. Do you agree?
The size advantage over Denzel Ward, physically, yes, is there, but Denzel Ward is a pure certified DAWG. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what size he gives up, etc. But I do like the point about misdirection and taking their aggressiveness and using it against them. The screen game, this is you talk about using Spears and Henry at the same time, mm-hmm. right? Remember the Commanders game where they screened to Henry a couple times and then
threw the touchdown to Hilliard?
Opposite side to Hilliard. This is a good week for that type of stuff.
Texter says, TD, what do you think Jim Schwartz knows about the Titans? And what do you think the Titans may not be able to do because of his advanced knowledge of their team the last 2 years?
And that second part was, what do I think they may not be able to do or may be able to do?
Maybe not able to do.
Again, this offense has similar concepts, but it's a different offense. And now you have this two-back look that they're using with Henry and Spears on. It's different. So, yeah, Jim Schwartz will know the personnel, but guess what? You know the personnel every week. because of how much film you study and how much advanced scouting reports you're able to get, so I don't really think, and then they give it to the players. Like I go over to the defensive line, right? And I like to spend a lot of time watching them. The amount of input that Terrell Williams will give these, he'll say, like, this guy, he likes to set like this. So you need to make sure every week, the details. So I don't think it really matters. I think knowing his defense, I mean, it goes back to what the first caller, texter, had said. Use their speed against them. That's it. I don't think there's going to be limitations because of the knowledge that, Schwartz has.
I think the other thing about Schwartz, too, is I don't think Schwartz overthinks the game. I think Schwartz just comes after you, and he's going to come after you on Sunday. Like I remember when he was here, I feel like they blitzed every play when Jim Schwartz was the defensive coordinator.
Come after,
And so that's what's going to happen. And, do I think there's going to be some of, hey, Tannehill may like to do this or they like to do that. But there's so much tape on Tannehill that it's not like there's any secrets out there. Exactly. Whereas Schwartz is not going to change what he does because of something that he may know about Tannehill. Texture says, TD, do you think the defensive players are getting inside Deshaun Watson's head by saying things to him about the extracurricular issues that Deshaun has had? And with Jeffrey Simmons' championship caliber trash talking ability, do you foresee there to be some drama on Sunday?
Jeff talks so much trash. Today, I was watching them run. So you got special teams, right? And then different positions practice separately. They broke the huddle after, team stretch. And he's talking trash to Kyle Pecco as he runs by him over to Coach T. He just talks so much trash. But I don't know. I wonder if that is something that's happening as far as, because two face masks. You don't usually see a quarterback get one face mask, let alone two. And the way that he kind of threw the linebacker, after one of those, you could tell that he's frustrated. So I don't know. He's human, so I would imagine it does bother him from time to time. So Simmons, he's not really one to get personal. You know what I mean? So I don't know that he would mention any of that type of stuff, but most of his trash talk is about the game.
I just remember in the Mahomes documentary, Danico Autry sacked Mahomes, and Simmons came up and yelled in his face, sack. Yeah. Almost like he was Mike Keith.
That's what I'm saying. Like that type of stuff.
Not like, hey, man, like, did you rape those women? Like that's, you're not gonna,
Yeah, I don't,
Devin from Dover says, and I think this is an important one. How worried should Titans fans be about Derrick Henry not practicing with a toe injury?
I don't think that there should be worry. There were a lot of times where he didn't practice on a Thursday, came back Friday and played. So I don't think there should be worry.
And he practiced on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, he practiced on Wednesday too. So I don't think there should be worry at all.
Well, isn't Thursday third down?
Yeah, that too.
So if you were going to give Derrick a day off, first and second down, you're not going to give him. That's Monday. Yeah. And red zone, which is Friday, you're not going to give Derrick off. So if you were going to give Derrick a day off, third down would be the day that you want to give Derrick the day off.
And again, you've seen him take off a lot of, well, not take off, but not be at practice a lot of Thursdays. You know what I'm saying? So,
sure.
No worry. If he's not there tomorrow, yeah, you might want to be a little concerned.
Texture says, TD, why is Vrabel such a good underdog coach?
I think it's like that level of jerk in him that loves when, and it's filtered into the team, right? Like they love when everything is against them and no one's, picking them, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it has to do with that. It's just like the competitor. I think that's what it is. And this team has just taken on his attitude and approach. And that's why you have what we refer to as the Vrabel special.
So I have a theory on this. Now, the Vrabel special, that is real. And that's always like when they're massive underdogs. Like I didn't think they were massive underdogs on Sunday against the Chargers. They were 2.5-point dogs.
Yeah.
And they're 3-point dogs in this game.
But 3 points is given to the home team. So, it technically, like if you look at it, they were a bit more of an underdog.
Sure. I just think that the Titans are almost underdogs in every game they play. Like all of these toss-up games, Saints, 3 points. The Chargers, 2.5 points. Browns, 3 points. Like now when they play the Colts, they should be favored. I think they probably will be. But in all these, games that are probably, the quote unquote toss up games, I think that they'll probably be the underdogs in all of those. Like the Steelers, that's a toss up game, right? I think the Steelers will be a 3-point favorite because, we could see it going either way. So I think part of the reason why Vrabel wins so many games as an underdog is because they play so many games as an underdog.
Yeah, that could explain it.
Austin from Clarksville says, should Titans fans be worried about anyone on the injury report?
Man, Titans fans, like they want to worry. Yeah, Skoronski, it's already
he ain't gonna play.
Yeah, it's already been pretty much established. No, I wouldn't. Hopkins. I chatted with him in the locker room today. He had some. It's an interesting. Like he put his feet in these two sleeves. I don't know what it was doing, but it's almost like something to. I think it was like a massager type of thing.
Were those giant like foot boots?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's like for blood flow and.
Got you. Blood flow. Yeah. So, that's something if you're going to be concerned about. But, I mean, this dude he's going to play. I can't see him not playing. So, I don't think there's anything to be concerned about on the injury report.
Henry, Hopkins, Tart, Hooker, Fulton. Feel good about all those guys?
Tart came back to practice after missing yesterday. Fulton, I think he's going to be able to go. Hooker should be getting, from what Vrabel alluded to, yesterday, Hooker should be able to get cleared, and tomorrow, you know what I mean, to be able to play.
Whoops. Texter said, TD, how much of Ryan Tannehill's resurgence from week 2 to week 1 is a permanent sign, and how much of it was Tannehill just having a great game?
I think he just had a good game, and the game, he hit shots, right? So.
I mean, he played with a huge chip on his shoulder. I felt like.
You could definitely tell he was bothered, and I joked with him yesterday. I was like, "It's a much easier week this week, huh?" And he was like, "Oh, it's all relative. Everything all gets blown out of proportion." I was like, "Yeah, but
he didn't tell anybody up there at the podium. He didn't say, "Hey, I'm done talking about the Chargers. Let's get to Cleveland."
Yeah, he didn't say that this time. But I think it really comes down to a couple plays that he made that were there to be made, that he didn't make 2 weeks ago, right? So he hits Okonkwo or Spears for the touchdown against the Saints. They win, and we're not talking about it. And that's the thing that's so cool about football is it could be 2, 3, sometimes even one play that just changes everything.
It was crazy. You brought up that stat last week that since, 2019, Tannehill's 30th in the NFL.
Yeah.
In terms of throwing the deep ball.
Yeah.
And that deep ball he threw to Burks, I'm not sure he could have thrown it further. I'm not sure he could have thrown it better. I'm not sure he could have thrown it with, the perfect amount of air and velocity. And I mean, that ball was, I'm not sure, like the Raymond ball he threw to him in the Colts game and in the Ravens games, those were on target, but Raymond was so open that like he could just hang it up there and Raymond could run under it.
Yeah.
This one was I'm not sure I've ever seen Tannehill throw a ball so far down the field outside the numbers and on the money like that throw to Burks was.
It traveled 54 yards. Air yards, 54 air yards on that. And before that pass, to give you the stat, he was 3 out of 15 in his career on passes thrown at least 50 yards downfield. You're right. That was on the money. That was a beautiful throw.
What do you think about Tannehill going forward? Because I believe that the Saints game, one, I think there was some rust, between not playing at the end of last year and not playing really in the preseason. And I think he got shell-shocked early by the hits that he took. And the one thing I think we have to remember is, and you said this on the pregame show before the Saints game, you said it's the loudest you'd ever heard the dome.
Mm-hmm.
And so your silent count, which means that, Cam Jordan is coming off the ball and Carl Granderson's coming off the ball the same time the tackles are. They played at home last week, which means that they didn't have to go to the silent count. They're going to have to go to the silent count this week, which means Myles Garrett is going to be firing off the ball at the same time Chris Hubbard is. So I do wonder if maybe like between getting hit and the rust against the Saints and the silent count that he was kind of all discombobulated. And I do worry about some of those factors being an issue this week against the Browns.
I think all those factors will probably be an issue. You take away the rust aspect. I think, it's almost like when you need your first, like you got to get that first hit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, got that out of the way. Now I can play the rest of the game. I'm woke. I think it was almost for Tannehill, that first game, he had to get that. So going forward, I believe that they're in a good place with Tannehill. And then you're also going to continue to see he and Tim Kelly begin to, be on that same page all the time, the way Arthur Smith and Tannehill were when he was at his best. So I think it's good for them going forward.
The one thing I would say, though, I don't think he can keep getting hit 15 more times the way that he got hit the first two games.
No. And one of the hits was dirty. It was unnecessary, when Kenneth Murray hit him. He can't continue to get battered like that. And that's where I talk about he and Tim Kelly get on the same page, right? Okay, look, I understand you're getting beat up. We're going to let's get some plays in here that get the ball out of your hands, and let's get it to Traylon early. Let's get it to DeAndre Hopkins quickly. Let's get it to Chig. Find ways to minimize the contact that you're having to have.
TD, always good to see you. Talking with TD. Is that what's on Talking with TD this week?
Yes, sir. We got Jake Trotter, ESPN NFL Nation, Browns reporter. As we do each week, we got that, and then I dug in on the Chargers game, and Chris Sanders and I we had a good old time talking shop as well. So
we caught him red-handed on the show yesterday.
I think context. You got to use context, because I'm pretty sure that he was saying that Spears is their best home run hitter. I think that's what he was saying. I would like to hear the full before that too, but I don't see, and I know it just in talking to Chris, like I know when we talked before we recorded Talking with TD, he definitely was like, man, Henry's the better player. So
I'm glad to know that at least. TD, good to see you as always. Coming up next, I'm starting to really like Tim Kelly. And there's a couple of reasons in particular that I'm really starting to like Tim Kelly. We'll get to that coming up next. We are live out here at First Horizon Park, Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Call. Join Robbie and Rex Road for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
The two most sought-after, most prestigious names in bridal jewelry come together for one epic event this weekend at Genesis Diamonds.
Tacori and Viraggio, the world's premier designers, are showing off their entire collections. All the latest designs, many showcased for the first time ever, with up to $5,000 in savings.
Everyone loves Tacori, meticulously crafted by master artisans in their California design studio. Discover the hidden details and exceptional quality that sets Tacori apart. There's always more than meets the eye with Tacori. Come explore the entire Tacori collection, including all new Tacori fine jewelry, earrings, bracelets, eternity bands, pendants, and more.
If you're engagement ring shopping, this is a once-a-year event you can't miss. Other jewelers aren't even allowed to carry these iconic American-made brands.
Also for this event, Genesis is showcasing an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds in all shapes and sizes.
Come join us and take advantage of special incentives, zero-interest financing, and as much as $5,000 in savings. This Friday through Sunday, only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Now, your Game Center update.
The Tennessee Titans were back on the practice field today, preparing for the Cleveland Browns this week. Linebacker Luke Gifford, defensive back Anthony Kendall, and offensive lineman Peter Skoronski all did not practice for the second day in a row. Defensive lineman Tierre Tart was upgraded to a limited participant today. Danico Autry and Harold Landry both remain limited. For the Browns, defensive back Greg Newsome has yet to practice this week. Titans versus Browns is set for noon on Sunday. Over in Dallas, it's feared that Cowboys defensive back Trayvon Diggs tore his ACL at practice today. Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryce Young is not expected to play this week versus Seattle. The Nashville Predators were on the ice for their first training camp session of the season. General Manager Barry Trotz joined Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace earlier this afternoon.
I want to give them the resources and the opportunity to build this. If we win a Stanley Cup, I want this team to be built from Nashville Predator DNA.
And it's the final Throwback Thursday of the season at First Horizon Park as the Nashville Sounds continue their final home series of the season versus Jacksonville, the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. First pitch is set for 6:35 on your home of the Sounds, 94.9 The Fan. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air. Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios at First Horizon Park. Sounds tonight against the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Now, let me just say this for the record. I am starting to like Tim Kelly. Now, when they promoted Tim Kelly, first off, when they hired Tim Kelly to come in that support role with Todd Downing, I didn't think that was the answer of anybody's prayers because Todd Downing was still going to be running the offense and still calling the plays. I mean, what I really cared about was who was going to have the laminated play sheet in front of them that would sit there on 3rd and 6 and say, all right, 29 Zebo, double wide, queen, shoot, eagle, eye, Coors Light, ready, break. You know, that's what I was worried about. Not so much the other stuff. And I didn't think Todd Downing was going to be very good at that. And he wasn't. Tim Kelly, though, I thought was the ultimate wild card going into the season. I don't have any faith in Vrabel to pick the right offensive coordinator. And the only reason that I think Vrabel picked this guy is because Vrabel knows this guy. And this guy was there. And that's just how Vrabel is. He may luck out and pick an Arthur Smith. He may screw up and pick a Matt LaFleur. And again, we'll see where he goes. I didn't think Tim Kelly called a very good game against the Saints. In fact, I was very critical of the play calling, and I was very critical of the snap count for Derrick Henry. But Tim Kelly got up there last Thursday, and he took ownership for his mistakes in the Saints game. And the margin for victory or defeat in the Saints game was so thin that Tim Kelly could have easily, without necessarily saying it's the player's fault, Tim Kelly could have hinted at it being the player's fault. People do that all the time. The more defensive they get, the more insecure they are of their position, the more they try to make you realize it's somebody else's fault. Just look at what's going on in Chicago with Justin Fields. But Tim Kelly didn't do that. Tim Kelly got up there and said, I got to call better plays. He was asked last week about the game plan. And he told TD, he said, I think the game plan was fine. I think I just didn't call very good plays. And I heard that and I thought, oh, hallelujah. Oh, yes. This guy, he gets it. At least that was my sense. And then Tim Kelly went out there and I thought called a great game. A great game. Not a good game. I think Tim Kelly called a great game on Sunday. In fact, we gave him a game ball. I mean, Ian, I don't think we very often give coaches game balls on this show.
Not very often.
And we gave him a game ball because of his performance. Dialed up the deep shot at just the right time, gave the ball to Derrick Henry, did a good job of faking the ball to Derrick Henry, got Tajay Spears involved. Excellent play call on the rollout to the sideline of DeAndre Hopkins to set up the field goal. It was like every call was right place, right time on Sunday. And I'm starting to think that Tim Kelly is more Arthur Smith than he is Todd Downing. The thing about Arthur Smith is he's smart. That's like I hear all these people around the country that don't keep up with the Falcons or that don't know Arthur Smith. And it's almost like we'll see if it works out with Arthur Smith in Atlanta. And I'm like, I think it is going to work out for Arthur Smith in Atlanta because I think Arthur Smith is incredibly smart. I think that's why Arthur Smith was such a great play caller. I think that's why Arthur Smith was such a good positional coach. I think that's exactly why Arthur Smith was able to keep a job on every Titans coaching staff with all the different changes that were made. Because Arthur Smith's a smart guy. I don't think Todd Downing's a very smart guy. Certainly don't think he had a feel for the game. And I mean, hey man, good people do bad things and good people get DUIs. I mean, it is not, but come on, man, use some sense. But what I saw from Tim Kelly from week 1 to week 2 was I saw somebody that not only took the blame, took the responsibility, took the pressure off the players publicly, but also was sincere about owning up for his mistakes. And there is nothing, everybody makes mistakes. Hell, I make mistakes. But there is nothing that drives me crazier than somebody that is always looking to maneuver away from accountability. And there is nothing that I find more admirable than somebody who is willing to take accountability for their actions sincerely. That all being said, I'm not ready to commit to Tim Kelly as Arthur Smith. I told you I'm starting to like Tim Kelly. I didn't say I love Tim Kelly. This week is a huge test for Tim Kelly because we can say whatever we want about the Titans' performance on Sunday, but the Chargers are a lost franchise. And they're a lost franchise led by a coach who's going to keep them stranded in the desert longer than Moses. He's going to get fired, and everybody knows it. That defense for the Chargers, it felt discombobulated. Everything with the Chargers seems off. This week, you're facing the second-ranked defense in the NFL with arguably one of the 5 or 6 best defensive players in the game in Myles Garrett. Pro Bowl caliber players all over the place. Do you want to know when the Packers started to take off under Matt LaFleur? When they signed Zadarius Smith. Guess who's on the Browns? Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the linebacker, is a beast in the middle. Grant Delpit might be one of the better safeties in the NFL that nobody talks about. And Denzel Ward is probably one of the best corners. They got great players. They've got a great defensive coach in Jim Schwartz. I don't feel like I need to go over Schwartz's resume. I think you guys all agree with me. So this is the real test, right? So week 1, didn't call the plays that well. Just simply didn't. He admitted it. Week 2, calls a good game, gets Derrick Henry the ball, takes the deep shots, owns up, his play does the talking to show that maybe he did learn from his mistakes. But now it's harder. Now it's harder. Now the stakes are higher. Now the opponent is tougher. Now the opponent is much smarter with Jim Schwartz running that defense as opposed to, the Chargers mess under Brandon Staley? And I am curious to see if this hypothesis about Tim Kelly being the answer, I am curious to see what that looks like on Sunday. What's great about Tim Kelly, what gives me a real good sense of his ability is the adjustments, adjusting from week 1 to week 2, but also after 2 3-and-outs to start the game, Tim Kelly says, no, we're going to take the deep shot. They needed it. And he was able to execute it. So I guess this is a long-winded way of saying that the experiment's not over. I don't want to see if Tim Kelly goes out there and has a bad game, and I say on Monday that I think he called a bad game. I don't want to hear that. But you said you liked Tim Kelly, Jared. What are you saying now? I'm saying what I am telling you. This is not changing. I am starting to like him. But he hasn't proven to me that he's going to be Arthur Smith. He hasn't proven to me that he's going to be able to work around this albatross, this disgrace of an offensive line. But he's given me hope. He's given me optimism. I'm starting to believe a little bit. And if I'm starting to believe, that means that the players might be starting to believe. Again, the players know when somebody gets hired and they have a press conference and they say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. The players know it's all talk. But once they start to see the plan in action and they start to see, you know what? This guy knows what he's talking about. That's when the buy-in starts to become a real thing. Don't believe me? Look at Deion Sanders at Colorado. So I'm starting to like Tim Kelly. I'm starting to get excited. I'm starting to tell you, maybe get a little excited about Tim Kelly. But this week, this opponent, this is the real deal. Because that is the number 2 defense in the NFL. They've got great players everywhere. And your offensive line is your offensive line. 615-737-1025. We'll hit your phone, 615-737-1025. Plus, Tim Kelly talks about Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears. And I hope he's not telling the truth. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company. Right here, again, we are live at First Horizon Park where the Sounds are taking on the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, and they are doing that tonight at 6:35. Great seats are still available, so come on out here on the program, and let me tell all the fine folks to tune in for the college football game of the week on 102.5, 106.3 The Game this Saturday at 6 o'clock as the Arkansas Razorbacks take on LSU. Of course, presented by Twin Peaks. Take your tailgate to Twin Peaks for scenic views of all the hottest college football games across the country.
New home. New energy. Same Blue Raiders.
99 yards! Touchdown, Middle Tennessee!
Catch every game for MTSU on 93.3 Classic Hits. Coach Rick Stockstill is poised to lead his team to yet another bowl appearance.
We're really excited about this opportunity.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey guys, it's Mike from Newton Ford in Shelbyville. It's finally football season in Tennessee, which means sweaters, tailgates, and pumpkin spice lattes. Wait, it's still almost 90 degrees outside. Where's the fall weather? I guess we'll just have to keep waiting and sweating it out, even at football games for now. But don't wait on cooler temps to commit to making sure your car's running smoothly. Even if you're still running the AC, it might be time to check the oil, all the fluid levels, and just a basic once-over to make sure that when the weather finally does cool off, you won't be left out in the cold, literally or figuratively. Let our service center give you peace of mind and offer you great savings while you're at it. Save on basic services like tire rotations, fluid services, and brake checkups with up to $25 in savings this month at Newton Ford, just a short drive away from Murfreesboro. Visit NewtonFord.com to schedule a fall service checkup today. That's NewtonFordSouth.com.
Oh, Charlie's, that's where you'll find me. That southern flavor got me saying, hey, y'all. And ooh, that gooey caramel pie tastes like summertime at Old Charlie's.
The sweet, sweet sounds of this song are in honor of the sweet, sweet news that Free Pie Wednesdays are back at O'Charlie's. O'Charlie's. Oh, that's good.
Yum, yum, have some fun. O'Charlie's, born in Nashville, and it shows.
At the Home Depot, Saturdays are about two things: getting projects done right with Behr Premium Plus interior paint and football. That's right, Kirk Herbstreit. And with Behr's wall-to-wall coverage and long-lasting durable finish, you'll spend less time worrying about your walls, which means more time for football. For football. Upgrade your Saturday with Behr and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Real estate investors, get ready for an incredible opportunity. D&M Development is thrilled to announce the Phase 1 presale of 16 non-owner occupied short-term rentals in Nashville's exclusive resort-style community, the New Cumberland. Nestled between Germantown and East Nashville, this exceptional location offers stunning views of the city and the Cumberland River. Each unit features spacious kitchens, 4 bedrooms, and 4 baths, providing the ultimate luxury experience for your guests. Resort-style pools and a wide range of amenities. Don't miss out on this exclusive investment chance. Visit thenewcumberland.com for more information and secure your spot in this extraordinary community.
How are you? My name's Scott Van Pelt, host of SV Pod, along with my partner in crime, Stanford Steve. What do we talk about mostly on the podcast, Steve?
Sports.
Some.
Parenting.
I feel like that comes up a lot. I feel like most recently I've needed some help because I feel like my shortcomings there are evident. It's life stuff, relatable content.
It's fun.
It's just two bald-headed goons just talking about nonsense a lot in a crowded podcast space. There's that one.
We're here.
Here we are.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I talked to Tajay yesterday, and he just always just gets a big smile on his face when he talks about that running backs room and just the respect that you guys have for one another. What allowed him to come in and kind of have that respect from a veteran like you?
Yeah, I think just the way when he came in, his approach, always looking to get better, very attentive in meetings, very detailed in everything, and pays attention and let it transition to the practice field, and is playing off, in the games as well. So, just love his drive. We kind of have similarities when we talk about certain stuff. So, glad that we have him. As a great asset for us, and he's been doing a great job.
Boy, did you expect Derrick Henry to say anything different? Would you ever expect Derrick Henry to be like, yeah, Tajay, he's doing a good job carrying my water for me, but we need to give me the ball more? No. Great answer by Derrick. Oh, I love him. He's great to have around. He and I, we got a lot in common. That's great. Gotta love it. Tip of the cap to Derrick. But Tim Kelly was asked about how to decide how to give the handoffs to Tajay Spears versus Derrick Henry. Now, I said this with TD in the last hour, and I stand by it. Last week, that should be the blueprint. 28 carries for Derrick. 25. 25 and 3 touches, 28 touches for Derrick, and 8 for Tajay with, a little here and there receiving. I think he ended up with 10 touches. Perfect. If you want to give Tajay one more touch, fine, but not at the expense of Derrick. That's the way to do it. Derrick number 1, Tajay number 2. Not 1A, not 1B. Tim Kelly was asked about how to decide and to, set up the snaps and playtime between Spears and Henry.
How do you like maybe the carries and play time for Derrick and Tajay, and will that be kind of a week-to-week deal? Are you still trying to find out the sweet spot there with those two?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we necessarily have a pitch count. I don't know if we necessarily it's so much of it's going to be dictated on how the game goes. Whether you want to call that who's got the hot hand, who's the better matchup, however we want to say that. We've got 2 very talented backs with 2 unique skill sets, and it's a good problem to have for us to be able to make sure that we're getting both those guys enough touches.
Okay, I hope Tim Kelly's lying. I hope Tim Kelly is just what do I say to get through this press conference, right? Like, how do you decide on the two guys? Yeah, they're two great players, and we're glad to have both of them. And, we're going to try to get the ball to our playmakers and blah, 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 blah. I hope that that's what that was. I hope that they are not sitting there in the meeting rooms talking about game plan, saying, okay, who's got the hot hand? Let's roll with that. No, because Derek gets better the more touches he gets. So if Derek is not popping right away, that doesn't mean put Tajay Spears in there and say, all right, let's roll with Tajay Spears. No. The second thing is, playing the game plan. Well, against this team, Tajay might be better running the ball than Derek. No. The only thing I'm okay with is the idea of if the game gets out of hand, like the last time you played the Browns in 2020, and Baker Mayfield, I want to say, and I should have pulled this up earlier or something just so I, could recite it off the top of my head. But I want to say you were down 17-0 in that game before you could even blink. And part of that was because Derek fumbled a snap. And Baker Mayfield was just throwing the ball down the sidelines for touchdowns every play because your defense was horrible. And so if it's 17-0 on Sunday, Spears has to go in the game. I'm not going to, at that point, running the ball with Derrick Henry doesn't do you a lot. But just like when the Titans traded for Nick Folk and claimed Cade York or put Cade York on the practice squad, Vrabel got up there at the press conference when he was asked about the two kickers, and he said, Nick is the kicker. Nick Folk is the kicker. We're working with Cade. We're developing Cade, but Nick is the kicker. And so I hope that when, Jim Wyatt's sitting there saying, how do you go about deciding the snap counts for Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears, instead of we're going to ride the hot hand or whatever the game plan dictates or whatever the pace of the game and the situation of the game dictates, instead of that, I really hope that the truth is Derrick Henry is the bell cow. Derrick Henry is going to get the ball. Because if the Titans are thinking that they can go into these games with different game plans and that he can sit back and say, okay, well, look at this right here when it comes to Derrick Henry. Now, when it's Derrick Henry's game against this team, we can run it with Derrick. But against this team, let's use Tajay. If they do that, they're going to lose. Because what you're doing is you're treating Derrick like he's one of the guys when Derrick is the guy. Burks is one of the guys. Okonkwo is one of the guys. Westbrook-Akine is one of the guys. Spears is one of the guys. Hopkins right now is one of the guys. And in this offense, he might be one of the guys. But I do think that in the passing game, eventually DeAndre needs to be the guy. But as far as the offense, Derrick is the guy. And I'm a big believer that if it's not broken, don't fix it. And they gave the ball to Derrick 25 times on Sunday, and they were effective on offense. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. And that means give the ball to Derrick. I mean, the one thing that this show has never said is to give it to Derrick less. This has been the show for years of let the big dog eat. And I like Spears. I don't want this to come off as, oh, well, Jared doesn't like Tajay Spears, or Jared doesn't believe in Tajay Spears, or Jared thinks that Tajay Spears isn't good. Because that's not true. I like Tajay Spears. And I think, again, he's one of the guys. I think about this as jump shots in basketball, right? And Chig's going to need some jump shots, and Burks is going to need some jump shots, and Spears is going to need some touches. And 8 carries for Spears. It's great when Derrick's getting 25. But I don't want this, riding the hot hand thing. I mean, you can do that. I didn't complain about riding the hot hand at receiver last week, when in overtime, Moore and Westbrook-Akine were on the field, and Burks and Hopkins were on the sidelines. And I was sitting there in my seats, and I'm like, is Burks hurt? And I look across the sideline, I'm like, no, there's 16 right there with a helmet on. He's just not in the game. And so while I don't love it, I'm not going to complain about it because I understood, Westbrook-Akine was playing well and Moore had caught the bomb. And it's obvious, again, that the Titans feel more comfortable with those guys run blocking than the other two. And with DeAndre, they may have thought, hey, we got to limit his snaps because of the ankle, which I'm totally fine with. But I'm not fine with this idea of Derek being one of the guys who gets the ball. No. Derek is the guy. And so I hope that when Tim Kelly was asked that question, he just sat up there and he was like, yeah, we got two great, just again, what can I say that's not controversial that can just get me through this press conference so that I don't really have to, divulge anything or say anything that I'll later regret or that Vrabel will say, why'd you say it? What can I, okay, yeah, let me just say that. I hope that's the truth. And that Tim Kelly's sitting there thinking, thank God I got Derrick Henry, and let the big dog eat. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll hit your phones next. 615-737-1025. Plus, the one thing he did say that I hope is the truth, I think is the truth, and is right on the money, and you guys are going to have to understand this with this offensive line. This is what it's going to be. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company. Ian, do I have anything to tell the fine folks about? That's right. I got to tell you how much I love Twice Daily. I do love Twice Daily. And that's why I'm so excited to tell you to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with Twice Daily. They have store giveaways all month long, and all you got to do is be a member of the Twice Daily Loyalty Club. That's right. You can go online, twicedaily.com/rewards, or you can download the app, and it pays to be a member of the Twice Daily Rewards program. So from now until October 21st, you can get a free bag of Frito-Lay chips and 50 cents off Pan-Fino varieties of Bon Appetit products. Again, that's all month long from the 15th to the 15th. That's right. And plan a visit to the Nashville Zoo on September 30th as they have joined forces to honor the history, culture, and achievements of the U.S. Latino and Hispanic communities. Visit the zoo on September 30th for the Hispanic Heritage Festival, of course, presented by my friends at Twice Daily. And join in on a variety of festivities, including dance performances, a puppet show, a number of musical performances, and much more. And you can find out more at twicedaily.com. Again, download the Twice Daily app and join the loyalty program. It pays to be a member with Twice Daily. You'll earn points and save money with every visit. If you're looking for convenience, Twice Daily has you covered. Twice Daily, fresh all day.
Every day we are live and local.
It will help them get better players. I'm really excited about this defensive front.
And your source for Nashville sports.
They had missed the playoffs.
Those players may end up being practice squad guys.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Penalty Box Radio Live is back. Join Alex Doherty and Sean Smith every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. for a full hour of local hockey talk, full analysis of the Nashville Predators. Honest hockey talk like you've come to expect from the Penalty Box Radio brand over the years. Penalty Box Radio is back home on 102.5 The Game for the 2023-2024 hockey season. For more, check them out at penaltyboxradio.com.
Caroline Fenton here from my friends at Sean Hammond's Jiu-Jitsu Academy. They supply a very safe and family-friendly environment with classes daily. Classes range from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, cardio kickboxing, ladies and kids programs, and so much more. Black belt instructed classes for men, women, and kids of all ages. You'll gain knowledge in self-defense, get a great workout, and get in the best shape of your life. Located at 2909 Armory Drive in South Nashville, call Sean Hammond's Jiu-Jitsu Academy today to set up your free trial. Learn more at SeanHammondsBJJ.com.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormonal deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve your quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
When you own a business, it's like another member of your family. Its success takes time. It requires money, attention, and tools to help it grow. At F&M Bank, we'll treat your business like family, building trust and responding quickly when you need us. No matter your business goals, you can reach them easier when you have a banking relationship that supports you, tools to conveniently manage your money coming in and going out, and expertise to make your business better. Bank your business at F&M Bank. myfmbank.com. Banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
In any work environment, the culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. Hey, this is Sean Fort, General Manager of Cromwell Media, and this month we want to highlight a few of our employees celebrating their anniversary. We have 2 members of our sales department, Jeff Kolb celebrating 12 years, and Matt Saggio celebrating 11 years with Cromwell Media. We also want to highlight Tina Jackson in our HR department, celebrating 2 years. Thank you all for making this a great place to work. If you're looking for a new career or just somewhere fun to work, send us a resume to together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff.
It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
What's up, Nashville? This is Stephen A. Smith. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Trevor, what'd you think of the offensive line?
The offensive line, bless their hearts. They fought hard. But they, as a group, got overmatched in a pretty bad way. I was very impressed with Tannehill. I mean, he completed 20 of 24 passes. That's like around 80%. And that was magnificent, given that on any given drop back, he knew he was going to be swarmed pretty quickly. And he was sacked a lot, and he was hurried a lot. The offensive line, they fought hard. They were overmatched.
There you go. That was Trevor talking about the offensive line. And look, we all know Trevor. He's a very glass half full guy. And he's like, Trevor, what'd you think of the line? They tried hard. But boy, I tell you, Tannehill, he did a great job. So Tim Kelly today, the task only gets tougher this week with the Cleveland Browns, with Myles Garrett and with Zadarius Smith and with all those big old boys that they have there in the middle of that. I mean, it's just that's a good team. And that's the number 2 defense in the NFL. And so today, Tim Kelly was asked about the offensive line going up against their defensive line. And I think there is a lot of truth in what Tim Kelly said.
It's a good challenge for our guys up front. Our focus has been on making sure that we're putting them in a position to be successful, and everyone's going to have a piece of that. Like, as we sit here and talk about it, making sure the guys that are giving the looks today when we're going out there in practice are giving us the specific looks that we're anticipating seeing. So the first time our guys up front feel that, it isn't on Sunday, because it is a different style from what we've seen so far. So there's been a big focus in that, and it started with us with the game plan, designing it in such a way that we're able to put them in a good position, and then going to look to continue that today with how we're going to go out there and practice.
Look at what he's telling you. It's going to be a big test for them, and it starts with us. It starts with us to put them in position to be successful. When I was talking with TD in the last hour about run, punt this week, somebody texted and said, that's the dumbest offensive strategy I've ever heard. Run, punt keeps you out of 3rd and 14 and Tannehill in the shotgun trying to make something happen, which can lead to your quarterback getting killed or you turning the ball over, or both, which could be deadly in this game. So you have to have a game plan that fits the personnel, that recognizes the fact that the Browns' defensive line, man for man, is most likely going to dominate your offensive line. Tannehill has to get rid of the ball quickly on Sunday, which means they have to design quick hitters and man beaters immediately. Derrick Henry's going to have to run the ball and realize, hey, man, you're going to have a Wosu Koromoa meeting you at the line of scrimmage or before, and you're either going to have to push through that guy, power through him, you're going to have to move the pile. There's not going to be room for you to run. which is exactly what happened last week. Now, this defense is better than last week's defense, but that's exactly what happened last week. Against the Saints, the Titans tried to say, okay, let's try to run our plays. And you couldn't do it. You got Andre Dillard getting pushed into Tannehill. You got Daniel Brunskill and Aaron Brewer getting crossed up on a game right before halftime. Anytime they try to blitz, they get to the quarterback. You got Cam Jordan batting the ball down. It's like you're trying all the things you want to do, but they're not the things that you can do. Last week, it was like, all right, what can we do? And that's what they're going to have to do this week. He's telling you the truth when he says, hey, it's going to be tough, and it starts with us. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Texter says, the Browns have a good defensive play caller in Jim Schwartz, but so do the Titans and Shane Bowen. And Schwartz versus Bowen is a good matchup for a 13-10 game. The problem is the matchup is not Schwartz versus Bowen. It's Kelly versus Schwartz. And I don't know who calls the plays for the Browns. I think it's Stefanski, but Alex Van Pelt is their offensive coordinator. And boy, do you know who he looks like? Alex Van Pelt. He was a former quarterback back in the day. I only know who he is because I used to play Madden football as a kid, and he was like one of the lowest ranked quarterbacks that there was. I think he played in Buffalo. He is the offensive coordinator of the Browns. He looks like Josh Heupel. Like, he looks exactly like Josh Heupel, like a Josh Heupel, Freddie Kitchens mix. In fact, when I was watching the game the other night and Deshaun was talking to him on the sidelines, I was like, did they rehire Freddie Kitchens? So I don't know if he calls the plays or if Stefanski calls the plays, but that's who's going up against Bowen. It's not Bowen versus Schwartz. And again, I think there's a part of this where Tim Kelly's got to concede, like, hey, man, I can't with this line. I mean, I can't do, I can't do some of these things. Texter says, what if Tajay Spears is the man? That at this point in Derrick Henry's career, Spears is the guy and people don't fully recognize it. He is more electric and more of a dual run pass threat. The premise isn't crazy. If Henry doesn't put up big numbers in games 3 or 4, then Spears should be featured for a few games to see if he can take the reins. When the Titans drafted Chris Johnson in the first round of the 2008 draft, I booed the pick. I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday. We were on a baseball trip at USM. We were playing Webb that's out there in Bell Buckle. And we had a doubleheader on a Saturday because this is when the draft was on a Saturday. And I remember somebody had their phone out and said the Titans drafted the running back out of East Carolina, Chris Johnson. I'm like, oh, God. They don't need a running back. They have Lindell White. They have Chris Henry. They don't need Chris Johnson. Then the first carry that I saw Chris Johnson take was in a preseason game against the Rams. And he ran right up the middle for 65 yards and a touchdown. I said, he might be pretty good. The first game Chris Johnson played, he single-handedly beat Jacksonville in a game that Vince Young ended up getting benched, and the Titans had to send Dowell Loggins, who, by the way, has resurfaced as the offensive coordinator at South Carolina. The Titans had to send Dowell Loggins to Vince Young's house to check on him. Chris Johnson, by week 2, was the best player on the offense. When you're telling me that maybe Tajay Spears is the man, maybe they should feature him instead of Derrick Henry. Come on now. Like, if you're going to tell me to take the ball out of Derrick Henry's hands to see if Tajay Spears can be the lead back, he better be showing me some Chris Johnson level stuff. And it's not a knock on Tajay Spears to say that he's not Chris Johnson, because Chris Johnson was special. Jason in Dover says, still talking about the offensive line, and then with a hand in the face, like a face palm. I'm sorry, are we supposed to ignore the offensive line? Ian, are we supposed to ignore the offensive line?
It's going to be hard to ignore that this week. I mean, it's going to be a key position as far as going up and trying to slow down Myles Garrett. I mean, the pass rush for Cleveland can really disrupt an offense if you're not able to contain it a little bit.
I don't understand this idea of people not wanting to talk about the offensive line. It's the most important part of the team right now. Like the offensive line, like the fact that you guys didn't want to talk more about the offensive line during the offseason, tells me that, offensive line's not sexy. Here's how I feel about offensive line, which is unfair. The best offensive line play and the best offensive line men are the ones who don't get talked about because you take it for granted. All those years with Mike Munchak as the offensive line coach, and the Titans would lose an offensive lineman to free agency, and they just go replace them, and the line would be fine. They just go out, draft another guy. Oh, we lost Fred Miller. Okay, yeah, fine. David Stewart, he's right tackle, and he's a Pro Bowl right tackle. Oh, we lost Brad Hopkins. That's fine. Michael Rushier, left tackle, and he's a Pro Bowl left tackle. Benji Olsen started every game at right guard for like 10 years, never had a problem. And I took that for granted as a kid. But you can't tell me those offensive lines don't matter. So you just want to ignore the problem. But that doesn't make it go away. It's like if you got a problem with your car and then you just stop driving it, that doesn't make the problem go away. You're just ignoring it. Tim Kelly cannot ignore the offensive line. And Ian's right. In this game, we cannot ignore the deficiency that you have, and you've got to work around it, just like they did last week. But it's going to be harder this week because that team's better. Andrew says, who would I take if I was a general manager, Jeffrey Simmons or Myles Garrett? I mean, why ask a question like that? Because now it's going to make it sound like I'm putting down Jeffrey Simmons, but I don't think this is necessarily a close discussion. Simmons is a good player. Garrett is a top 4 or 5 defensive player in the NFL. Like the elite defensive players in the league. Parsons, Bosa, Chris Jones, Garrett. Am I leaving anybody out?
Nothing comes to mind. Did you just say the Bosas? All the Bosas, right?
Well, Nick Bosa. I want to put Sauce Gardner in that group because I do think he's that good.
A little too young. Maybe only one, maybe another year or two.
Fred Warner?
He's up there.
Sauce Gardner's pretty good, dude.
Oh, he's good.
Like, you're probably right. Like, let's see Sauce do it a little bit more, and like Simmons isn't in that group, and that's okay. He's still really, 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 really good. He's just not in that group. Donald. How could I forget Donald? Unbelievable. 615-737-1025. Let's hit your phones. We'll do it next. Stillman and Company right here live on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Play ball!
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at First Horizon Park against Jacksonville.
Gloves, grabs, guns, gets him, and the Sounds win again.
Pre-game at 6:20.
Nashville Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
From the beginning, they were applauded. The music that sold over 100 million records. Chicago, this Monday, First Bank Amphitheater.
Make me smile.
The music of Chicago.
Does anybody really know?
This Monday, First Bank Amphitheater. On sale now at livenation.com. Chicago, part of the Farm Bureau Insurance Concert Series. Buy tickets at livenation.com.
Football is back, and so are the deals at Electronic Express. Come into any of our convenient locations and save big on 4K TVs from your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Sony, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. Computers, appliances, housewares, Bluetooth speakers, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 60 months special financing. Score amazing deals in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
At Mercedes-Benz of Music City, a healthy and productive culture takes a day-to-day discipline. Here's Sam Cavett, General Manager, with a few thoughts.
Mercedes-Benz has its standard, and we have Dream Motor Group standards. They're definitely on the same level, but I feel like we challenge ourselves at least as much as Mercedes-Benz challenges us. It's a genuine motivation to take care of customers, and we see it in the customer reviews.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Insightful discussion.
When we talk about the person that these players are.
3 goals scored in the first 5 minutes.
He wants to be the starter, day one. Mixed with spirited debate.
Okay, but Derek, let's Professor Derek.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
We got the whole thing covered. We got it all covered.
Here.
Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
On the left side, it was very interesting, though, with your guy, Dylan Radins, playing left guard for most of the game.
What'd you think of that?
I was impressed at the beginning because, again, he fought hard. He didn't pass protect very well. And whether that's just because he still can't do it or because he hadn't had much practice because he had just come back from that ACL injury, his angles were off. So he was not in the right position to stop an inside pass rush, for example. And he still reaches around defenders and kind of hugs them instead of strikes them on the chest. You strike him on the number with his fist, with the balls of his hands, he still is not doing that. But I don't know that that's because he can't going forward or because this is his first time back. But he was fighting like crazy. And on run plays, he actually did a fairly decent job just because he was determined to do a fairly decent job.
Trevor, his assessment of Dylan Radins. Yeah, he tried hard. I got to give him credit. He can't pass protect at all, but he tried hard and did a nice job trying to run block because, well, not because he's got great technique, but because he tried hard. By the way, before we get back to your phones, the text line has exploded when we were talking about, the fact that Myles Garrett's a top 5 or 6 defensive player in the league. We left out TJ Watt. TJ Watt is a bad freaking boy.
Yeah,
he's TJ Watt absolutely has to be in the discussion when it comes to, again, the best defensive players in the game. Aaron Donald, Micah Parsons, TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, and I really do want to put Sauce Gardner in there because I do think Sauce Gardner's pretty good, but, we'll wait on Sauce a little bit. Like, those are the best defensive players in the game. Simmons is a really, really, really good defensive player, but he's not the caliber of those guys. And just look at the money, right? Like, look at the money that Nick Bosa's getting, and it tells you that he's more valuable than Jeffrey Simmons. And again, it's not a knock on Simmons. It's just reality. Texter into the text line says people would stop talking about the offensive line if the Titans' offensive line stopped sucking. Boy, I tell you, if the Titans' offensive line got good, like if the Titans' offensive line ever got good, right now it's bad. Like, it's not even, we talked about this before the year, about could they be just serviceable? And maybe if they develop through the course of the year, like maybe the answer to that could be yes. But right now, they're not. Now, some of it, Skoronski's out and they're gelling all together and there's moving parts. And with Radens, and I don't want to pick on Radens because I'm not here, but he is just coming off of a massive knee injury. So it's going to take him some time before he's really conditioned and ready to go. But if the offensive line was ever good, then the Titans could really be something. Texture says Simmons is great, probably a top 3 definitely a top 5 interior defender, but edge is always ranked higher, just like offensive tackle versus offensive guard. Don't tell Vrabel that. He used the 11th overall pick on a tackle and put him at guard because apparently guard must be more important than tackle. And then you watch Andre Dillard. Dillard, for every good block he has is a complete total screw up. But he did get out there on that one Derrick Henry run where he killed a man. Joey from Springfield says, say the Titans fix the offensive line next year, but lose Tannehill and possibly Henry. Do they stand a chance with Malik or Levis captaining the ship if the offensive line becomes stable? There's no way for me to tell you what's going to happen next year. I don't even know what's going to happen next week. This time last year, the Titans were 0-2 after they had gotten embarrassed at Buffalo. And we thought that team was headed for the toilet. Then they were 7-3 coming back from Green Bay. And we thought the Titans were right back to competing with Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincinnati in the AFC. And then 2 weeks later, they fired the general manager. So I have no idea what to expect for next year. I would say this, though. I still think the long-term plan at quarterback is Levis and not Willis. And I don't think Willis being the backup quarterback over Levis tells you about their long-term plans at quarterback, which is probably the most important part of all of this. Texter says, I understand this isn't the 2020 offensive line, but they are serviceable. Oh, no. Oh, no, Texter. Texter says they're serviceable. Ian, am I being too over the top when I say that the Titans' offensive line is not serviceable?
Well, so far it's been 50-50. Week 1, not very serviceable. Not very good. Week 2, a little bit more serviceable.
Didn't they give up 5 sacks?
They did. But, Tannehill still had some more time to throw back there. They scored 27 points, so they were a little bit better.
Well, they scored 27 points. They played a worse secondary. The Chargers secondary is not the Saints secondary. I think that's, needs – and I actually saw this graphic, and I don't know who did this. This could have been Pro Football Focus, which means nothing to me. But I don't know who did it. But the graph had, the amount of open window throws and on one axis, and the other axis was the amount of open windows for the receivers, of them or separation or whatever it is. And Carolina and the Titans have some of the highest open window throws, but lowest separation of the receivers through 2 weeks. And the one thing that Carolina and the Titans have in common is that they both played the Saints. So, I do think the Saints defensive backs are really good. So, it was easier to score those points because the defense wasn't as good that you were facing.
Okay.
That being said, I still thought the defensive line was horrible and that Tim Kelly and Ryan Tannehill worked around the defensive line or the offensive line.
Well,
serviceable is, that's too much for me.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this week goes, I suppose, huh? That might give us a good indication of where we're headed.
Well, this is going to be the test now.
Yep.
615-737-1025. If you want to weigh in, again, that's 615-737-1025. Jeff Howe of The Athletic has a very fascinating story. He's talked to NFL executives about what if Deion Sanders were to want to make the jump to the NFL. Could Deion make the jump? Would they be interested in hiring Deion into the NFL? And would it work? And before we get to this topic, the one thing I want to ask all of you is just think this in your head. Don't text, don't call, don't think about the what you think in your head. Let's say it doesn't work out with Vrabel. Now, I think Vrabel's a pretty good coach and probably closer to Deion Sanders than most of the other coaches that are out there. But let's just say it didn't work. How would you feel about Deion Sanders as the coach of the Titans? With that being said, let's give away some Thomas Rhett tickets. That's right. Be caller 5 right now at 615-737-1025, and you'll win a pair of tickets to see Thomas Rhett at Bridgestone Arena on September 30th. Good luck in that regard. Again, we're live at First Horizon Park, where the Sounds are taking on the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. It's Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Green right, Fox 2 run, double catch. He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback.
Wide 85, tight.
Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
The two most sought-after, most prestigious names in bridal jewelry come together for one epic event this weekend at Genesis Diamonds.
Tacori and Viraggio, the world's premier designers, are showing off their entire collections. All the latest designs, many showcased for the first time ever, with up to $5,000 in savings.
Everyone loves Tacori, meticulously crafted by master artisans in their California design studio. Discover the hidden details and exceptional quality that sets Tacori apart. There's always more than meets the eye with Tacori. Come explore the entire Tacori collection, including all new Tacori fine jewelry, earrings, bracelets, eternity bands, pendants, and more.
If you're engagement ring shopping, this is a once-a-year event you can't miss. Other jewelers aren't even allowed to carry these iconic American-made brands.
Also for this event, Genesis is showcasing an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds in all shapes and sizes.
Come join us and take advantage of special incentives, zero-interest financing, and as much as $5,000 in savings. This Friday through Sunday, only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here with More Great Homes. Located just steps from the White Bridge Shopping and Dining District of Nashville's Hillwood neighborhood, 80 Brookwood Terrace offers 2 homes with over 4,300 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, formal office, media room, a 2-car garage, and a 1-year builder warranty. Contact my team today at tjandersonhomes.com for more info. Want your home listing to be seen and heard by home buyers? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
Hey, this is the Fat Jack. We're in the middle of September. How is your gambling going? It is time to make some money, and I have got a deal for you. My once-a-month $99 weekend special. Go to FatJackSports.com, and this weekend only, it's only $99 to make money all the way through Monday. That's all the football, NFL, and college, and the free bases. Only $99. Go to FatJackSports.com. Sign up today, and in September, into profit, stop guessing, and start winning at FatJackSports.com.
Now, your Game Center update.
The Tennessee Titans were back on the practice field today, preparing for the Cleveland Browns this week. Linebacker Luke Gifford, defensive back Anthony Kendall, and offensive lineman Peter Skoronski all did not practice for the second day in a row. Defensive lineman Tierre Tart was upgraded to a limited participant today. Danico Autry and Harold Landry both remain limited. For the Browns, defensive back Greg Newsome has yet to practice this week. Titans versus Browns is set for noon on Sunday. Over in Dallas, it's feared that Cowboys defensive back Trayvon Diggs tore his ACL at practice today. Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryce Young is not expected to play this week versus Seattle. The Nashville Predators were on the ice for their first training camp session of the season. General Manager Barry Trotz joined Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace earlier this afternoon.
I want to give them the resources and the opportunity to build this. If we win a Stanley Cup, I want this team to be built from Nashville Predator DNA.
And it's the final Throwback Thursday of the season at First Horizon Park as the Nashville Sounds continue their final home series of the season versus Jacksonville, the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. First pitch is set for 6:35 on your home of the Sounds, 94.9 The Fan. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And a score! You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board. Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios here at First Horizon Park. The sounds tonight in the final Throwback Thursday presented by Budweiser and 102.5 The Game. Our final Throwback Thursday of the year. It is sad. Is this our last broadcast out here this year at First Horizon Park, Ian?
I mean, I'd imagine so. I believe this is the last home series, so I'm not sure what the playoff situation is for the Sounds and postseason. I don't know if they have much playoff, postseason in AAA baseball, so yeah, I think so.
I think they used to have the playoffs, but I think that they've made it shorter because, and they want them to play through the end of September so that the major league team can keep calling guys up that aren't just sitting on their butts. But that's a different discussion for a different day. It is sad. So great seats still available, 6:35, first pitch right here, First Horizon Park. And the bandbox, apparently they have $2 and $4 drink specials. And I know that because I see it right there on the scoreboard. So the Athletic, Jeff Howe of the Athletic talked to NFL executives, 10, in fact, high-ranking team decision makers to gauge the league's opinion on Deion Sanders and whether or not he could coach in the NFL. 7 of them predicted Sanders would receive interview requests for the offseason's head coaching hiring cycle. The other 3 didn't rule it out, but believed that it was too early to make a prediction. So you got 10 high-ranking guys in the NFL, and you say, do you think Deion Sanders will be interviewed this offseason for an NFL head coaching job? And 7 of them say yes, and 3 of them say we'll see. But the key number in that is 0 of them say no. The article continues about Deion, talking about what he did at Jackson State and then going off to Colorado. And one NFL executive said, quote, I definitely want to bring him in to hear what he has to say. He's a smart guy and a good coach who has had a lot of early success. You'd want to pick his brain to see if it could translate. He knows how to motivate players. He crushed the transfer portal, and maybe that would carry over into team building through free agency. It's a little hard for me to think that the transfer portal and free agency are kind of the same. I mean, again, if Deion's got the money, that might be one thing, but maybe a little different there. Another executive said he clearly has a plan to develop young men, and it's worked to this point. He has no issue putting people in position to do what they do best and doesn't seem to micromanage, and he knows his strengths. Apparently, one of the things they've said is with the coaching staff, Deion has a CEO mentality. I actually read a story about how Deion wants to get Warren Sapp on the coaching staff next year. The problem is, I don't think Warren Sapp has graduated college. And so in order to be a college coach, I think you have to graduate college. So they're working on that. But Deion talked about how, like, he doesn't make his coaches commit to the schedules that all these other coaches have, where Warren Sapp said that he doesn't want to work a job where he can't go to bed after he watches Rachel Maddow every night, which I guess that's a different discussion for a different day. But that's what Warren Sapp said. And I guess Deion's okay with that. A general manager said, I love the energy he creates and his players respond to it. I would think you have to at least sit down and talk with him. He's a leader, smart, a great marketer, and has the credibility as a player and is now adding to it as a coach. Now, for some reason, I don't think Deion would work in the NFL. But I say that at the same time thinking that I didn't necessarily think Deion would work at Jackson State. I'm not sure that I thought Deion wouldn't work at Colorado. I just didn't think it would be like this and it would be this fast. But you do have to tip your cap to Deion. And I will say this. I mean, Deion talks about, do you believe? Do you believe? We got 85% of our team believing. Do you believe? I saw the line is 21 points for Oregon on Saturday. And I'm rooting for Oregon. But I wouldn't put it past Deion to find a way to win. Oh, well, how they're going to do it. Travis Hunter's out. Dude, let me say this. Deion and Shedeur have found a way. But then that's another part about why I wonder, would Deion be able to work in the NFL? Would Dion be able to, if Dion's not coaching his son and he's stuck with Case Keenum at quarterback, is Dion going to win a lot of games? I mean, Sean Payton's a good coach, and he can't win with Russell Wilson at quarterback. If Dion's stuck with Jimmy Garoppolo, how's that going to work? So that's another thing to keep in mind. What's different about the NFL and college. Like, Dion be great with Patrick Mahomes. I'd be great with Patrick Mahomes. So that's another thing. What Dion has done, and I'm going to use the word exploit here, but I'm not saying that Dion is exploiting anybody. What Dion has done is there has been a seismic shift in college sports, and it starts with the Supreme Court. It starts with the name, image, and likeness. Regardless of the nooks and crannies of that bill, in different states, and the ruling from the Supreme Court, and everything else about how, that's name, image, and likeness, and you have to have the collective, and the school can't pay the player, and all of that's bullcrap. That's all window dressing. That's all fakakta. It doesn't matter. You can now pay the players, period. Dabo Swinney may not like it, but you can now pay the players. I see Nick Saban's got a weekly interview on the Pat McAfee show. I don't think that's free. I would love to see where that money's going. Is that going to the collective? Hey, ESPN pays the collective for Saban to come on every week. I don't know. But again, Dion has exploited the changing landscape of college football, maybe better than any coach in the country. Every coach knows the transfer portal has to be used. Even Dabo, who doesn't want to do it, he knows ultimately he's going to have to use the portal. Alabama uses the portal. Jamison Williams came out of the portal. Jahmyr Gibbs came out of the portal. Everybody uses the portal. Look at the best quarterbacks in college football. The best quarterback, Caleb Williams, USC, came out of the portal. Best quarterback right now, maybe the Heisman frontrunner, Shedeur Sanders, came out of the portal. But Dion did it more than everybody else. Dion uses NIL. Dion uses social media. The practice jerseys that the players at Colorado wear on the back have their social media handles. And with Dion's son walking around with a camera everywhere throughout the facility and putting things up on YouTube almost every day of behind-the-scenes footage of the Buffaloes, those players' social media handles, those players' personalities get marketed incredibly well. But in the NFL, does any of that matter? Like, again, in the NFL, is Jeffrey Simmons looking for more social media attention? Is Derrick Henry looking for more social media attention? And when it comes to NIL, again, there are certain ways that you have to go about doing it, but you have to raise the money to then pay the players. You don't have to do that in the NFL. In the NFL, your budget is whatever your owner will let it be. Now, I do think if Dion went to one of these teams like Cleveland or Buffalo or the Broncos, where they could give him almost an unlimited budget, and they said, here you go, Dion, I think he might be okay. But again, all of that is determined basically by, what quarterback do you get? Because the Bengals are a poor team, but they gave Joe Burrow all that money, and nobody can get Joe Burrow. And so how's Dion going to look in the NFL going up against Joe Burrow? But like I said, I didn't think Dion, when he got hired at Jackson State, I didn't think that was going to work. Most of the time when celebrity coaches and general managers get hired, they fail. I mean, Eddie George at TSU right now, I love Eddie, but they couldn't cover a 50-point spread at Notre Dame. 50! They lost by 53. Magic Johnson tried to coach the Lakers. It was awful. So I didn't think that was going to work. Then it worked because Dion got Travis Hunter, and he's got Shedeur, And then he goes to Colorado and he just raids the transfer portal, gets all these players. And I mean, he's got it flowing there in Colorado. But all those things that Deion's great at that matter, right? Like the self-marketing, the exposure, the television eyes, that really doesn't matter in terms of winning or losing in the NFL. I look at Vrabel, for instance. Do you think Vrabel cares what the TV ratings are of a Titans game? Of course not. Do you think Vrabel even knows what the TV ratings are of a Titans game? I mean, they're in the game release, and Vrabel gets the game release because I get the game release, but do you think Vrabel knows? And quite frankly, I don't think he knows. I don't think he cares because it doesn't matter in the NFL. It matters in college. Not everybody's working with, similar-ish budgets in the NFL as college. College, it's how much money you can get raised. And Deion, I mean, how much money, in all seriousness, in terms of NIL? And I know that NIL is not really used for what it's supposed to be used for, right? It's supposed to be, Caleb Williams won the Heisman, and so now he's doing those Nissan commercials, and he's going to get paid for doing the Nissan commercials. That's what NIL's for. We got a bunch of NIL money, and we just got this defensive lineman you've never heard of. Yeah, that's not what that's for. But if Shedeur Sanders wanted to be a pitch man right now of a national company, how much is that worth? $5 million a year? Deion's guy, he's on every commercial. Take a brand Deion can't pimp and put Shedeur out there to promote it. What's that worth? So I guess what I'm saying is I doubted Deion before, and Deion has had success. And I didn't expect this to happen the way it's happened. I don't think Deion would be successful in the NFL. But I'm not going to rule it out either because I was wrong before. And if there's anything Deion's proven, it's that he's smart and that he can adapt to the rules. And that doesn't change even if the rules change. 615-737-1025. If you want to weigh in on that, 615-737-1025. Plus, Deion says he's not going to the NFL. I think he has to say that. But I almost wonder if Deion Sanders has to entertain the idea of the NFL. And is it greater than him? We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025. 1025-1063, the game.
New home. New energy. Same Blue Raiders.
99 yards! Touchdown, Middle Tennessee!
Catch every game for MTSU on 93.3 Classic Hits. Coach Rick Stockstill is poised to lead his team to yet another bowl appearance.
We're really excited about this opportunity.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Half of me wants a cold. Hey Nashville, Thomas Rhett here. My Home Team Tour 23 is on sale now.
Thomas Rhett, Home Team Tour 23 with special guests Cole Swindell and Nate Smith. Friday, September 29th, Bridgestone Arena. On sale now.
Get your tickets at livenation.com and come party with us.
Hey, it's Jared from PhD Weight Loss. I love the PhD Weight Loss program, and I am continuing to blow past the numbers. That's right. I'm getting close to my maintenance stage, and I did it all while enjoying the summer and traveling on vacation. But now that it's football season, I'm able to lock in on my nutrition thanks to the PhD Weight Loss program. I feel so much better about being in control of my weight, and I get excited when I continue to see my progress. And what's great is that PhD Weight Loss provides you 85% of the food at no added cost. That's no pills, that's no injections, that's no crazy workout program, but it is simple nutrition that they help you through. If you're someone who has struggled to lose weight, go online to myphdweightloss.com and check it out for yourself. You can learn about the program, the coaching, and of course, their guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That's PhD Weight Loss online at myphdweightloss.com.
Teddy's Tavern, downtown's newest bar with an old Nashville feel, is conveniently located across the street from Bridgestone Arena and just blocks away from the pedestrian bridge. Get a taste of the new brunch menu to fuel your Titans Day pride on game day. Pre-game specials from 9 a.m. till kickoff when the Titans play at home include 2-for-1 draft beers, mimosas, and Bloody Marys. Teddy's Tavern is where you want to be before every Titans home game, so come downtown early and meet me at Teddy's.
It's Raymond and Austin. We're back on All-Star Sports Radio. Celebrating their 30th year, our sportsbook and casino sponsor, BetUS.com, is offering a 125% sign-up bonus plus up to 30 risk-free bets.
It's called Bet Protect, the perfect offer for crazy plays, like the famous butt fumble. It's the GOAT of embarrassing plays.
Really, remember when you bet me you could do a live show with a GOAT as your co-host, and he face-kicked you?
Thankfully, I didn't take the under on that one.
Anyway, folks, get Bet Protect today. The industry's biggest 125% sign-up bonus plus up to 30 risk-free bets. BetUS.com, where the game begins.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Look at the sideline in this game against Colorado State. Game Day was there. You had The Rock, Lil Wayne. You had all kinds of rappers, all kinds of actors. It was just an amazing spectacle. And what do recruits want? They want to be stars. That gets you NIL. That gets you all kinds of stuff. So the problem is you can only get away with that if you can get away with that. Deion Sanders can get away with that because of his personality. Nick Saban will never be that guy. But no one will say that Nick Saban has to be like Deion Sanders in order to be successful. Kirby Smart, same way. Never going to be that guy. Matter of fact, who can be? So you've got to be very careful to not be inauthentic when you go out there and try to replicate what he's doing there, because it just won't work if it's not authentic. And Deion's one of the few people on the planet that can sell it with originality and with genuineness.
There you go. That was Trevor talking about Deion. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Like if Nick Saban was going to try to do things the Deion way, it wouldn't work. And yet, again, The Athletic talked to 10 high-ranking executives in the NFL. And they asked about Deion Sanders. 7 think he'll get interviewed this offseason. 3 of them said it's too early to tell. None of them said no. And these general managers said, I'd want to talk to him. He's smart. He knows how to build a program. He knows how to motivate the players. All of those things. And there was something I was thinking about. Now, Deion's come out and said he's not leaving college to go to the NFL. But Deion has to say that because Deion's team is 3-0. It's September. They're playing Oregon. If Deion hints for a second that, oh, yeah, I'd be interested in the NFL, that becomes the number one story, and Deion's too smart to let that happen. So even though Deion says that he's not headed to the NFL, I mean, prime time, money talks, babe. So, Deion will let the chips fall where they may. But I was thinking about this today. Every offseason, we have the same discussion, one way or another, about minority coaches not getting an opportunity for whatever reason it may be. Now, maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm ignorant. I do not think that NFL coaches are racist per se. But I do think the way that people get jobs in the NFL, I do think that it's kind of very, good old boys club and, that's Bobby's son, so let's hire him. And we know him from there. And I do think that, leads into other issues of why we're not seeing more minority candidates hired. But the thing about the NFL is that it's a copycat league. Just like with pretty much everything in life, it's copycat. What is successful? Let's try it. The Miami Dolphins used the Wildcat for the first time about 15 years ago. And then all of a sudden, everybody else wanted to have their own package. Everybody tries to copy what works. When Bill Belichick and the Patriots were winning Super Bowls, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, special teams coach, all getting jobs. Now the Patriots are a 7-10 team, and they're not interviewing those guys for head coaching jobs. Now it's Kyle Shanahan. Everybody wants to get the Kyle Shanahan guys. If Deion were to go to the NFL, if Deion Sanders, in my opinion, were to decide, because head coaches are decided on by the owner. If Deion Sanders were to decide that he wanted to coach in the NFL, I think Deion Sanders would get hired. I think a team like the Chargers in Los Angeles, second fiddle, Deion brings the attention. I guarantee you the Chargers think they have the players to be successful. And I think that because I think they have the players to be successful. So all they just need is a coach that can set up a staff and can motivate the players and can get the players, to give it their all. And it's Los Angeles. They want to be important. They want attention. Deion can do that. So I think if Deion decided he wanted to go to the NFL, he could get a job. Any disputing that, Ian? You think if Deion just decided, hey, I do want to go to the NFL, that Deion would get a job this offseason?
You think this offseason, you think 1 year would be enough?
Probably.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if there was somebody. It only takes one team, like we say with players and free agents. It only takes one team to kind of buy into what we've been seeing with Deion, and boom, that's all it takes is one. So I wouldn't be too surprised.
I mean, so let's say Deion doesn't. If you're Deion Sanders and you have success in the NFL, and I think we all know that Deion thinks if he goes to the NFL, he's going to be successful. Now, he might be successful. I mean, I'm not ruling it out at all. But if Deion Sanders were to go to the NFL and have success, the copycat league that is, don't you think there would then be more teams that are trying to copy the Deion way? And that, I believe, would be the entry for more owners going out of their way to hire minority candidates to do things the Deion way. And so if you're Deion Sanders, you're at Colorado, and you've got all the attention on you and you're getting all the money, and Deion right now is making $5 million. But if Deion went back to Colorado and said, I want $9 million a year, I think Saban's the highest paid coach at 11. I think Deion's probably worth $9 million a year after 3 games. I'm just saying, I do think there's something to all of this, and that, we keep trying to figure out what is it going to be that kicks in the door for minority coaches, not just to get a job here and there, but to get jobs more consistently. And I think it is the Deion way that would be able to do that, the prime time way. All these coaches, they're all like one another, right? They get up at the podium. Who's the quarterback going to be, coach? I think we'll let you know. Coach, kickoff's in 5 minutes. I know we're still working through some things. Deion, I thank you for hiring me, Colorado. My son's going to be quarterback. Deion just does it his way. 615-737-1025. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. DeJuan has been waiting patiently and is up next here on Deion Sanders. Thank you for calling. What's up, DeJuan?
Yeah, I think Deion had made a comment before the Colorado success. He said he wouldn't go to the NFL because they make too much money. And I kind of feel that because he uses his swag and his influence, with kids that don't have money, which, parents are sending their kids there. But when it comes to grown men with money, it's a whole different type of influence. I don't know if it works. I'd hope it works, but that's a comment that he did say.
So I absolutely understand that. I've thought about that too. Thank you for your call, DeJuan. I've thought about that too with Deion Sanders. That, it's different when it's young kids compared to when it's pro athletes. Nick Saban struggled with that when he went to the Dolphins, and he had coached in the NFL before. But I also do think that Deion could adjust.
Because the angle he's working with now is a very good college angle.
It's great.
It's a perfect college angle, and he's doing it really well. And he's, touching on a lot of things that are important to a lot of these kids these days that will not be as important to 27, 28-year-old pro players. So I do feel like there could be a little bit of an adjustment there, but I wouldn't put it past him.
The question is, can Deion do the adjusting, right? This is perfect for college Deion, but college Deion can't go to the pros and do things that college Deion's doing. Just like Urban Meyer tries to go to the pros and do things the way Urban Meyer did them in Ohio State. You can't do that. But also remember who his coach was in Dallas. Although he actually might have gotten there after Jimmy Johnson. So I don't know if they overlapped or not. But, Jimmy Johnson, he had a different approach than the college Jimmy at the U. And I do see some similarities between what those Miami teams were and Jimmy Johnson and what Colorado is with Deion Sanders. But I do wonder if Deion could change his ways, or if Deion's like, no, I need to take care of the young kids. And that's totally admirable if that's the way with which Deion does it. So I do see your phones. I want to hit them. But I also really want to get into this exercise that I made Ian do. Did you do a list? Did you make a list, Ian?
I'm sorry, a list of?
Did you read the grid?
No, I did not make a list.
Oh, Ian. Oh, no. So this morning I sat down and I decided we were going to do this at 5:30 today. How many NFL coaches right now do I think are better coaches, would be better right now for to coach in the NFL than Deion? And how many are worse? And so I made a list. We'll go over that next, and your phones. 615-737-1025. And I put some names on here. Even I was like, oh, okay. We'll get to that next here on Stillman and Company. Ian, do I have to tell the fine folks about anything? All right, great. 615-737-1025 live from First Horizon Park. Sounds final throwback Thursday of the season at 6:35. 1025-1063 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
I think Vanderbilt is steady, disciplined.
It's been so long since Tennessee's gotten out of the first weekend.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I don't mind going to another team.
You want to know what the coaching staff's going to look like?
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormonal deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve your quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. It's about to start getting cooler, and it's time to start thinking about your heating system. You do not want to experience breakdowns when that first temperature drop happens, so it's time to get your heating tune-up taken care of. Luckily, happy half-off month at Hiller. Tune-ups are 50% off. This month, Hiller is making it easier than ever to tackle necessary home replacements by giving you 50% off select add-on items. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face truck today.
Back in 1949, Dr. Houston began the tradition of treating athletes for common sports injuries. Today, the sports medicine physicians at Houston Clinic Orthopedics continue his legacy. Whether you play at school, in a league, on a professional team, or just enjoy being active, Houston Clinic Orthopedics physicians are there to help you stay in the game. Common sports injuries include tears, strains, sprains, and instabilities of the knee, shoulder, and ankle. Houston Clinic Orthopedics is located where you work and live. Visit tn.houston.com to book your appointment online. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
He knows the ins and outs of the Titans and isn't afraid to give his opinion.
Traylon Burks needs a massive offseason.
He's Jonathan Hutton of Outkick.
I don't see how they make a move without going to Ryan Tannehill.
Catch him every Monday at 10:30 on Chase McCabe and every Wednesday at noon on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Hutton is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Gary Bettman. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
You've obviously done so much. Player, HBCU coach here, also baseball player. Mm-hmm. With so many things, like what iteration of Deion do you want to be remembered as?
The greatest father that ever lived. The greatest father that ever lived. If I could be known as one thing, Dad. I ain't talking about no baby daddy. I'm talking about Dad. Yeah. I pride myself on being a great father. I really do. Not only to mine, but to a multitude of these young men in this locker room.
Brings a tear to my eye from Coach Prime. What a great answer by Deion. Even if that's not true, and I think it might be, even if it's not true, what a great answer by Deion Sanders. So, again, The Athletic polled 10 NFL decision makers and asked if they would be, if they thought Deion Sanders would get NFL interest. 7 said yes, 3 said let's see. So I was just thinking in my head, and I wanted us to make a list, and Ian said he made a list on the fly. How many NFL coaches right now would you say in your gut do you think are better than Deion Sanders in the NFL? Ian, you want to go over your list first, or do you want me to go over mine?
Sure, I can go over my list real quick.
Okay, give me who you think's better than Deion.
Okay, AFC East, I'll take Miami, Buffalo, New England, McDaniel, McDermott, Bill. I'll take Baltimore and Pittsburgh, Tomlin and Harbaugh. I'll take Vrabel with the Titans. I'll take Andy Reid with the Chiefs. That's in the AFC, who I put out just real quick. In the NFC, I went Philly and Sirianni, the Giants and Dayball, Atlanta, Arthur Smith, San Francisco, Shanahan, Rams, McVay, Seattle, and Pete Carroll. And then I put a question mark next to Dallas.
Okay. The one, I do not have Sirianni ahead of Deion. I actually think Deion would be a better coach for the Eagles than Sirianni, and that would be the perfect team for Deion to go to, would be the Eagles. So here's who I have as better, and I didn't have Belichick, because I think Belichick is stinking it up. I mean, I still
had to put him in over Deion. Just, pure principle, I think, of the thing.
Right now, I think Belichick's doing a bad job. I mean, they're irrelevant. Maybe he'd be better than Deion. I've got Andy Reid, Shanahan, Sean McVay, Mike Vrabel, Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, Mike McDaniel, Brian Daboll, Arthur Smith, Sean Payton, and Kevin O'Connell ahead of Deion. And Kevin O'Connell, I was like, oh.
I left Sean Payton off there. I probably should have put him on there. I left Denver off, but yep, pretty close.
I think we could agree Sean Payton over Deion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just something like, you're going to tell me that Jonathan Gannon would be a better head coach than Deion Sanders?
Can't say that.
I mean, I can't get there. And I will admit straight up, I didn't think the Deion Jackson State thing was going to work. And I certainly didn't think that, that the nation would be captivated like they are about Colorado and Deion and everything else. And I don't know if Deion could change his style a little bit. Let's go to Andrew, who's up next. 615-737-1025 here on the program. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, guys. I think Deion said years ago that he wouldn't coach in the NFL, not just because of the money, but also because he would have trouble trying to tell grown men who are set in their ways what to do and how to play. So his style is also dependent upon work ethic and things of that nature about molding young men. But if you did go to the NFL, I don't think it would be as a coach. He would probably go in as a GM or try something in the front office someplace.
Oh, I don't think Deion could be a GM. I don't think Deion. The thing about GMing, how many GMs in the NFL are the star? Right?
Jerry.
He's more of an owner than he is a GM.
Bill.
You know what I mean?
Maybe Bill.
But he's more of a coach than he is a GM.
Okay.
The truth is the coach is, the coach is the star. The GM may be more important, when he's got final say on the roster and he's got final say on the coach. he might be more important. But as far as like, who's the star of the organization, it's the coach. And Deion is not going to supersede that to anybody. Deion Sanders is going to be the star. Now, I think I understand what Deion's saying. When people say, well, Deion said years ago he wouldn't coach the NFL, and Deion said last week that he wouldn't coach the NFL. And maybe Deion does look at it and say, hey, these 18-year-old kids, I can get through to them. It's easier to work with 19-year-olds and 22-year-olds than it is to work with 30-year-olds. But also there's a part of me when it comes to Deion Sanders that says it's easy to say you wouldn't be interested in coaching in the NFL when nobody's offering you the opportunity to coach in the NFL. But once they start to offer you the opportunity to coach in the NFL, is it really that easy to turn down? And if Deion were to go and take one of these jobs, he would be taking the job. He would be in charge of his franchise. Like, he would be in charge, and they'd have a GM, but the GM would work for Deion. Just like I told an athletic director last year when we were talking about Deion as a Power 5 coach. And I said, the one thing you understand, if you hire Deion Sanders, it becomes the University of Deion Sanders, which is great for Colorado because nobody cares about Colorado. So it's like, hey, we're proud to be the University of Colorado, but we got 10 people showing up to the games, and we're never talked about on TV, and we're never on so if we become the University of Deion Sanders, then we're going to have college game day here every week, and we're going to pack the crowd, and we're going to sell out all the home games, and we're going to have constant attention and the highest TV ratings in the country. And I mean, in all seriousness, this is like the movie The Waterboy, and how it's just exploded. And it's only been 3 games. You got to give Deion his due there now. So he's not going to be a GM. Andrew, I love you, but man, what a crazy take. Deion Sanders. Texter into the text line said Doug Peterson ahead of Deion Sanders. I'm not a Peterson guy.
I could see the argument. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl.
I mean, Stephen A. Smith today was talking about how bad that draft class was for quarterbacks. And he was like, except for Trevor Lawrence, because that brother is that brother. And I was like, he wasn't that on Sunday against the Chiefs. He was awful on Sunday against the Chiefs. Now, Peterson did win the Super Bowl, but Barry Switzer won a Super Bowl too. Peterson and O'Connell. Boy, if I have O'Connell as a better NFL coach than Deion, and I don't have Peterson as a better coach than Deion, does that mean by the transitive property of mathematics that I'm saying Kevin O'Connell's a better coach than Doug Peterson?
Maybe. Yeah. Kind of sounds like it. You talk about the guy from Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a good season last year.
I think he's a really good coach.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know too much about him. I know he's from that offensive system from the Rams. So, last year they did good, Minnesota. We'll see how their one-score victories go this year. But
Texter says, just the thought of Deion Sanders coaching the Chargers would make them scary. See, here's the thing, too, about the Chargers. Like, I think, I don't want to say we can all agree because I don't think we can all agree. But, I mean, I do think that the team that really needs, like, the personality of the coach or the accountability of the coach or the motivation of the coach, that, like, if there is one team in the NFL that it feels like has all of the pieces and that the biggest problem is the coach, it would be the Chargers. Like, I think that most of us would circle them and say, okay, that's the biggest problem is the coach. Whereas like a team like Arizona, their problems are much bigger than just the coach, whether or not the coach is any good.
You think he would be like a good fit in Chicago with Fields? You think that would be a good situation?
So I think that whole thing is all screwed up, but I don't think Fields is very good. Like, Fields is throwing the coaches under the bus. And now, is backtracking. And I mean, that's going to be a disaster. And I think they've handled the entire situation that started with when they drafted Fields. I think they've handled that poorly. But I'm not sure that, like, Deion can make chicken salad with a bad quarterback in the NFL. Whereas if he goes to the Chargers, he's not going to have a bad quarterback.
Maybe the new Washington owner would be some type of new hiring process with the
But
Commanders.
I don't think that would be a better fit for Deion Sanders than the Chargers. Like for Deion to be successful, and he's in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean the Chargers
and he's got a quarterback.
Yeah, they are loaded as far as that goes.
Think about this: the Chargers are paying their quarterback $52.5 million a year. They're paying him $100 million over the next 2 years. Don't you think that firing your current coach, who's probably making like $4 million, and paying Deion 10, don't you think that's worth it? Like, isn't Deion Sanders worth $8, $9, $10 million to the Chargers if you've got an investment of a $50 million quarterback in his prime who happens to lose every game right at the wire, and we all chalk it up to coaching? I mean, I think that it's totally worth it. So Robert in Nashville says Deion mania will die down after he loses a game. I don't know, man. I think people are still going to be watching Deion on TV.
It probably will die down a little bit after they lose, but
what if they win?
No, that would be something.
What if they win? Texter into the text line says Deion can't handle it with all the penalties that Colorado's racking up. Texter says Deion could coach his sons in the NFL, and that would get him there. By the way, Robbie Stanley texted me, and he said that he would take Shedeur Sanders as the coach of the Packers over Matt LaFleur. Forget about Deion. He'd go with Shedeur.
Yeah, he's on your side with LaFleur.
Oh, I've always hated LaFleur. Here's the thing that's crazy is that I think Deion is doing a great job as a coach, but I do think that Shedeur Sanders is special. And I do wonder, the Deion style, the Deion philosophy, the Deion Sanders way, like, would that work without having Shedeur as the quarterback? But then I also am reminded, who was Shedeur's coach in high school? Deion. Who was Shedeur's coach at Jackson State? Deion. Who's Shedeur's coach? Like, the one constant in Shedeur is Deion. So how much of Shedeur is Deion set him up for this success?
Wonder what kind of schemer he is.
And how much of Deion's success is about? Well, so Deion, I don't think does that.
So, like, would he have to have like a really hardcore OC and DC, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, if he was like the head coach? Does he do a lot of scheming?
I think like a coach like Bob Shoop would be perfect for Deion, right? Like, Deion hires Bob Shoop, and I think this is what Deion has done with these coaches. Deion hires Bob Shoop as the defensive coordinator. Deion gives him the players and basically says, hey, man, run your defense and just keep me in the loop. And then Deion goes off and does all the interviews and all the promoting and all that stuff. And Bob Shoop, instead of recruiting, because Deion's handling all of that, and NIL stuff, he's not worried about that. Coach Shoop is just sitting there in the film room, getting ready for the defense to implement it at practice to get ready for the game. And I think that's what Deion's doing right now, which I think is, generally speaking, a winning strategy for a head coach in college football or the NFL, to be more of a CEO guy than a hands-on kind of run one side of the ball, farm out the other side. 615-737-1025. By the way, you know what's crazy is I asked Steve Lehman from Channel 5. I was like, because, they used to always have the ratings, the TV ratings. And the TV ratings for Deion's game were massive across the country. But Nashville was like the 6th or 7th highest rated market for the Colorado State game last weekend. And I would love to compare what the ratings for the Vols Florida game was to Deion. Now, I'm not thinking that Deion beat the Vols in Florida here, but I just wonder the comparison, because I think talking about Deion gets the phones lined up more, gets the reaction on it more than talking about the Vols. And that's not a knock at the Vols. That's just how big the Deion hype train is. Speaking of coaches in the NFL and in college, there are coaches that are coming under fire. Legendary coaches. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, live out at First Horizon Park. Again, it is the final Throwback Thursday of the season. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike three.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
At Harbor Freight, we think you shouldn't have to break the bank to get great tools. Because we know that for some of you, tools are part of the job. And for others, they're just the beginning of making, fixing, restoring, and building. That's why we make high-quality tools that are priced affordably. Because we love being the start of all your working, making, fixing, restoring, and building. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Are you in the mood for authentic Chicago-style Italian food? Italian beef sandwiches, Vienna Chicago-style hot dogs? How about homemade pasta, chili, meatballs and marinara sauce, and more? Well, you need to check out this week's Nashville's Best Deal. Campione's at 401 Long Hollow Pike, Goodlettsville, Tennessee. Family-owned and featured on Tennessee Crossroads, this is delicious Italian-style food right here in Tennessee. Check them out now at thegamenashville.com/deals. Get half off now while supplies last.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
They combine hard-hitting journalism.
The Titans asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut.
Strong-willed opinions.
There's hot takes and then there's like weird takes. Yeah. This is a weird take.
And sometimes some old man takes.
I'm excited about it. So do I gyrate embarrassingly?
To create the perfect morning show, they are Robbie and Rex Road. Mornings from 6 to 9. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company live from First Horizon Park, the Sounds final throwback Thursday of the season. So you're telling me, Ian, this baseball season has just come and gone so quickly? I mean, I cannot. I'm sitting here thinking like, wow.
It's about to be October, dog.
I mean, we're really towards the end of September. I mean, it's like when I was doing that read for Silly Underdog Picks, and it's like, yeah, it's week 3 of the NFL and week 4 of college. I'm like, week 4 of college? Whoa, my goodness, how did we get here so fast? So, people react strongly to the beginning of the season. We know that. We know. You win one game for week 1, you're headed to the Super Bowl, you lose it, you fire everybody. But in Boston, the highly rated Felger and Maserati program was discussing which coaches in the NFL should be fired right now. And the leader in the clubhouse, I think for everybody, is probably Brandon Staley of the Chargers. But not on that program.
What coach across the league needs to be fired right now? And are there any more than one? Is it a list of 2 or 3 or just one? Who?
Bill Belichick.
No.
Brandon Staley
Right
and Bill
now.
Belichick.
Right
yes,
now.
Yes, right now.
Right now. He deserves to be fired right now.
Yes, why are you surprised? I said I would fire him 3 years ago.
Right now.
Yeah. Out. Bye. Done. See you later.
Same answer as Maz. Is this going to get better? It's not. So he's got to go.
It should have already happened. The only reason it hasn't happened is because of that stupid
Should have
record.
happened 3 years ago, Mass.
Well, okay, 2.
After the Cam Newton year?
1.
Well, in retrospect, yes.
Yes, they should have. Kraft should have said, Tom, what do you want? And if he said, I want Bill gone, I want Josh to be head coach.
No. 4 years ago. So I'm sorry, I'm just confusing the years. When Brady was walking out the door, that's fine. That's fair.
Yeah, in hindsight now, Kraft should have been like, Tom, whatever you want.
Yep.
Who do you want as coach? You can do whatever you want. Whatever.
Fine.
Okay, but I'll tell you what. I'll even build in the cushion because Bill is Bill.
So
last year was a fireable offense.
You bet.
Last year was a fireable
So do it now?
offense.
Do it today on the off day?
Sure. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm for it. Same answer.
See you later.
Staley and Belichick out.
What,
Bye.
I'm going to cry?
Save the season.
Okay. So that blows up, right? Like everybody around the country, all these articles, all these websites. Boston radio wants to fire Bill Belichick. And they're talking about it like it's outrageous. Am I the only one that thinks? I mean, like, look, firing Belichick 2 games into the season in the middle of the week, that's probably a little outrageous. But am I the only one out there that thinks, and I feel objective about this, I don't care about the Patriots. But, like, Belichick has, like, the aura of Belichick, it's over. Like, it's gone. And so you can't fire him because he's Belichick. That ship has sailed. Like, the benefit of the doubt, Belichick, it's gone, right? It's like, or are we just never allowed to think that Bill Belichick might not be doing a good job? And it's like Saban at Alabama. Now, I love Saban. But this idea of switching up the quarterbacks and then going to Jalen Milroe and not grabbing people by the face mask, that's not Nick Saban. That's not the Nick Saban I know. Now, I'm hopeful that Nick Saban can get it figured out. Nick Saban's doing a weekly interview on the Pat McAfee show. Does that sound like Nick Saban? So I think that, fans and media and everybody else should be allowed to question a legendary coach. And I think Belichick is the one who probably brings this upon himself more than anything else, because Belichick is the guy who's always like, yeah, what's happened in the past doesn't matter. What matters is what's happening right now. And right now, Bill is not getting the job done. That's going to do it for us. We're out of here. ESPN Radio is coming up next. Again, we are live out at First Horizon Park. Sounds tonight on Throwback Thursday. Apparently, Sandy Alcantara. I don't believe I blew that one. Sandy Alcantara is starting for the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Must be a rehab assignment or something. But some big name right there. That's it for us. We're out of here. Stillman and Company, everybody. We'll see you all tomorrow at 2.
Electronic Express.